There's up to 13.
Ho-Ching Stadium, Eugene. Already the tension is building for the 92nd renewal of the Oregon Ducks-Washington Huskies rivalry. No doubt one of the most intense rivalries in the Pacific Northwest, and you can watch it all unfold right here on Channel 2 with the kickoff scheduled for about a half an hour from now at 12:30. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Ducks and Dogs team. The Ducks are coming off their worst loss of the year, that 38-3 drubbing at the hands of Arizona last week. This young man, and young he is. Freshman running back Herman Ho-Ching off to a terrific start this year before injuring his knee some 5 weeks ago. Ho-Ching returned to practice this week, declaring himself ready to go, but Oregon coach Mike Bellotti is much more cautious. Ho-Ching could play today, but Bellotti says keep those expectations in perspective.
You can't just say because of what he accomplished, 5 games ago that he's going to step out on the field and do it again. Certainly, we all hope that. But I think more importantly is that our own just confidence in what we're doing. We're not that far away from the same offense we were 2 weeks ago. I think it's going to take a little bit more performance in the offensive line maybe than who's carrying the ball to ensure that person has success.
And now to the fans, who, of course, in big rivalries play an important role in at least the pregame hype. This year is no different as fans go through their usual pregame rituals at the stadium. Brad Adams has spent the morning in Eugene, and he has found out firsthand what the Ducks and Huskies rivalry is all about. Brad?
That's exactly right, Steve. I can't predict who's going to win this game, but I can predict the weather. It's going to be rainy, it's going to be wet all day long. But that's not going to stop the players on the field, and it certainly did not stop the fans tailgating as Duck and Husky boosters party side by side in perfect harmony. Herman Ho-Ching, as you mentioned, will not start, but he will definitely see action today against Washington. And tackle Marco Aguirre is out for this game. He was going to try to come back. He is not going to play. But, Steve, plenty of Ducks and Washington players out there to cheer for all these fans today.
Brad, what was it like driving down I-5 to Eugene this morning? Did you meet up with a lot of Ducks Huskies fans on the road?
We sure did. We left at 7 a.m. thinking that's going to be plenty of time to get down here, no traffic. We were wrong. There was a lot of traffic, a lot of signs, pom-poms on the cars, both colors, green and gold and purple and gold. So obviously this is a huge rivalry. The fans know the importance, and the players certainly do too.
As we can see, it's going to be a miserable day with the weather, but it doesn't seem to dampen anybody's spirit. This game is too big for that.
It's too big, and it was funny talking to the fans out there. I said, you guys have been here since 8 in the morning. Why are you tailgating when it's pouring down rain? They said, you know what? We just put the tarp up. We go at our business. We don't worry about the rain. And I think they'll do the same thing out here in the stands at Austin Field watching this game today.
For the most part, we're seeing clean, spirited fun between the two sides. They're just passionate for their football team and their state.
Exactly right. The tailgating, like we showed, side by side. My favorite couple, the married couple, the husband, the Oregon fan, the wife, the Washington fan. So, it's all in good fun. Everybody sharing, having a good time, joking before the game. But, once they get in here, I think it's all business, though.
Okay, Brad, thanks, and we'll talk to you again in just a few minutes. Still much more ahead on the... And welcome back to the Ducks and Dogs pregame show. As you look at Ho-Ching Stadium, this reminder, you can see the Oregon and Washington game live on Channel 2 after our pregame show at 12:30. Well, it's a rivalry that varies in magnitude depending on who you talk to. The Huskies, for some reason, have always downplayed their emotions for the Ducks, while Oregon players and fans consider every Husky game bigger than big. We do know it's been a bitter few years for the Huskies, who have been stung with big plays to lose 3 out of the last 4 meetings with Oregon. The biggest play of them all came in 1994.
Hewer, you're going to go back to throw the ball. Sets up, looks, throws toward the corner of the end zone. It is intercepted! Intercepted! The Ducks have the ball! Down to the 35, the 40. Kenny Wheaton's going to score! Kenny Wheaton is going to score! 20, the 10, touchdown! Kenny Wheaton on the interception! The most improbable finish to the football game!
Wow, if Kenny Wheaton's interception stands alone when it comes to Ducks-Huskies memories, last year's clash stands a close second. That's when the two teams met at Husky Stadium in Seattle. Washington ranked 6th in the country, while the Ducks were struggling below 500 until this play. Akili Smith will hit Patrick Johnson for the game-winning touchdown, stunning 70,000-plus Husky fans. If Washington comes to Eugene a little angry and looking for revenge, you can understand why. But let's face it, competitive sports creates rivalries, and that's exactly what you've got when you talk about the Ducks.
Media and different things like that, looking forward to this game. We got to be able to go out there and play and rebound from that big loss last week.
The close proximity of these two schools creates a natural rivalry.
It'll be a real emotional game. You know, they're a team that plays with great emotion, especially against us, and we need to make sure we match that emotion and bring it to another level, which, you know, really isn't too hard when you're playing down in Autzen Stadium.
Over the last 5 years, the Huskies and the Ducks combined are the two winningest programs in the Pac-10, and both teams need this win.
You know, every game this year is very important to us, and it's just, you know, it's just a little rivalry, you know, dates back from before I even got here, you know, and I got a little taste of my freshman, sophomore year, and so this year I'm really looking forward to playing against them and, you know, just trying to get that W.
The Ducks have won 3 of the last 4 games between the two schools, and since 1994, nobody in the Pac-10's posted more wins than the Oregon Ducks. Everybody on the Duck squad is feeling the intensity rise, especially those who are new to the rivalry.
I'm starting to feel it this week a little bit. I mean, a little tension between the two, you know. I saw the newspaper how, you know, we're trying not to talk trash on them. They're trying not to talk trash on us, you know, just to wait for it on the field. Like, but everybody's telling me how loud Autzen Stadium's going to get this weekend, so just waiting for it.
Autzen will definitely be rocking as Chapter 92 in this rivalry is put into the books this afternoon.
We'll be right back.
Yogurt on me or, you know, something, but, you know, we'll try not to pay attention to that too much and just go out there and play.
Andy's right. There's something
Here at
about
Autzen Stadium, jam-packed, a sellout, but not all the fans rooting for the Ducks, just like in Southwest Washington, the city right between the two schools. And we found out who those fans root for. The Columbia Washington. Both teams getting ready to do a little victory dance today, but don't let those Husky fans fool you. They know how big this rivalry is. It divides.
This is ABC Sports, home of the Bowl Championship Series and the National Championship game. Quarterback Brock Huard has transformed the Washington offense into an all-out passing attack and an assault on the Husky record book. The multi-dimensional Akili Smith leads the explosive Ducks, beating defenses in a number of ways and emerging as an MVP candidate in the Pac-10. 2 of the league's best take to the air today on ABC Sports. The clouds have rolled in over the hills to cover Autzen Stadium on a cold, damp, rainy autumn afternoon in Eugene, Oregon, for the 92nd meeting in an old Northwest rivalry between the Huskies of Washington and the number 20 team in the country, the Ducks of Oregon. And hello and welcome, everybody. I'm Terry Gannon. They have met on the field nearly every year since the turn of the century. That is a lot of time for ill will and animosity to build up. It was a time when Oregon was really the pesky little brother trying to hang around with the Washington Huskies and their friends. That has all changed. The Ducks have now won 3 of the last 4 meetings. The intensity has risen to a different level in this rivalry. And today it is about trying to get to a mid to high level bowl. 2 losses for both teams. Washington still trying to be bowl eligible. We bring in my partner, Tim Grant. Tim, high-powered offenses, but lately some outages for them.
Well, both teams struggled last week. Let's start with Brock Huard of Washington. He's a big-time talent, and he's very competitive, and it is those 2 traits which really have him frustrated right now because his team really was mediocre last week. Now, he wants everybody to play beyond their capabilities today against Oregon, and they will have to win this game. On the other side, Akili Smith, he is a big-time talent as well. And I mean to tell you, folks, they have put the game plan right squarely on his shoulders against a Washington team which had 35 sacks in the last 4 games. So Smith is mobile. They'll be chasing. This should be fun.
46,000 at Autzen Stadium as the Ducks take the field. This is the game they point to all season long. Oregon hosting the Washington Huskies. Next from Eugene.
It all began with its solid form design. Now that design is achieving some very solid results, presenting the most solid Grand Am ever for the most solid ride of your life. And now Grand Am has been ranked the most appealing entry midsize car by J.D. Power and Associates. It's excitement, well-built. Grand Am by Pontiac. Get into a well-equipped Grand Am today for only $229 a month and drive away with one solid deal.
What are you doing?
Winning a trip to Hawaii.
Mow the lawn.
Can't. There's some tough bugs out there.
Find Flick from Disney and Pixar's A Bug's Life stamped on the bottom of specially marked cans of Dr. Pepper, and you're off to Hawaii. Or enter to win PlayStation game consoles and other prizes.
Look at this yard.
A Bug's Life is coming to theaters, and Dr. Pepper sending you to Hawaii.
Call a gardener.
This is a taste.
America Online introduces new version 4.0.
There has never been a better time to get online.
The easiest just got easier.
Instant messages.
I can customize my email.
My niece sent me a picture.
If you have a phone line, you can be online.
It's the easiest way to keep up with old friends.
Everyone I know is on it.
We've spent over $1 billion to create a state-of-the-art high-speed network, and with 56K, connections are faster than ever.
It's the ultimate local guide.
New 4.0. Check it out.
It's my connection to the world.
America Online, so easy to use, no wonder it's #1.
Trust. We are not born with an instinct to trust. Trust must be earned. Trust must be proven. We earn it with integrity. We prove it with sound advice. Trust is the ultimate measure of our success. And that is why we measure success one investor at a time.
A chill in the air in Eugene, Oregon. Autzen Stadium absolutely packed. They've looked forward to this one all season long. Perfect football weather if you grew up in the Northwest. Mike Bellotti, the head coach of the Oregon Ducks in his 4th year, 28-15 overall. Very confident about this team, Timmy, especially with a guy like Akili Smith running the show, but they've struggled, as you mentioned, recently on offense.
Yeah, but he thinks they had a real good week of practice. He keeps things in perspective. He knows the rivalry that has built with this club, and he fully expects the Ducks to come out and play to their max here this afternoon. I thought he was very congenial and very relaxed when we talked with him yesterday.
Of course, on the other sideline, Jim Lambright in his 6th year, but he's been on this staff, of course, for 30 years, so he's been around. He's taken some heat in the local media, and I'll tell you what, with what he has done with this program and what it had to come back from with the probation and the hits it took, I think it's ridiculous.
He's won 43 games at Washington, and you're right, he did that under adverse conditions. He graduated from Washington. He played for Jim Owens. They should never let him go from that campus.
Jim Skursky will get us underway. Back deep, Michael Fletcher and Jason Cooper as Oregon won the toss, and they will receive. And we're underway from Eugene. Short kick, and that is about 10 yards out of bounds, and they'll bring it out to the 35. An auspicious start for Skursky and the Washington Huskies. Not what he wanted to do, although tried to keep it away from the deep men. The chilly starting lineups for the Oregon Ducks. The offensive line has to play better. They didn't protect Akili Smith at all last week. Michael Klu's a key at tackle. A great duo, Damon Griffin and Tony Hartley, as good as they've had here at wideout for a long time. And Darian Latimer. All the injuries in the backfield. Both of these teams struggling trying to rush the football. Chris Young back starting at fullback. He was out with a stinger in his neck. And there is a look at Akili Smith. Probably the most explosive quarterback in the Pac-10, and most of the scouts and most of the coaches say if you look at the next level, he's the guy from this league who will have the greatest career. He's going to throw deep on 1st down. Damon Griffin one-on-one and incomplete. Good coverage by Terry Butler.
Yeah, see, this is a secondary that has really been shaky. It's a secondary that they're not even confident in at Washington. And so Oregon wants to take a shot early, and they did. And Smith almost had the completion, but Butler did a great job. As a matter of fact, Butler located the ball almost immediately. Now, if you look at the heads, both guys looking back at the ball, they both have a right to it, a little pushing and shoving and bumping and grinding, but normally you won't get a flag early on. You can get away with that. Good defense.
Going to be a lot of pushing and shoving and talking this afternoon. Two teams that know each other very well. Here comes Latimer looking for room, not going to find any. Over the right side, wrapped up at the 32. Jeremiah Farms made the hit along with Todd Johnson, a former walk-on and the leading tackler.
Actually lost a couple.
Yep. And the starting lineups for Washington defensively, a very good defensive front. They lead the nation in sacks. Issa leading the way. Todd Johnson, we mentioned him, the leading tackler on the team. He also has 7 sacks. Lester Towns with a bad foot. And this secondary that has been banged up, shifted around. Nigel Burton getting the start at cornerback. Anthony Von Tour moves into that strong safety or rover position. So it brings up 3rd and 13. Akili Smith with the straight drop. Set up the screen for Latimer, looking for a block. Some room initially and out to the 38, but well short of a first down. Todd Johnson again in on the stop, along with Hakeem Akbar.
Well-designed play. They took 3 wide receivers. They spread them deep, ran out the secondary, and then tried to throw the screen and come back underneath to the vacated area. But great pursuit by Washington early. They're running to the football. Right now they're playing with a great deal of speed and a lot of intensity.
The Joe of all trades, Joe Jarzinka, back deep, awaiting the punt from Josh Bidwell, one of the best in the country, 2nd in the Pac-10. Snap a little wide, but no pressure.
Wow.
And what a punt. Jarzinka back to his 12 and fumbles it. Ball is still loose, but they get it back. The Huskies get a break as Jarzinka dropped the 51-yard punt and then lost 2 yards.
You know, Jarzinka was actually running without the ball. He started before he actually had it.
So the Huskies take over. The chilly starting lineups for them. An offensive line that also has been shaken up a bit. Tony Coates getting a start at the tackle. Cadlet's moves to guard. Gerald Harris a bit banged up, but he will start. Great speed with Des Assure at the other wideout spot. And Willie Hurst, a running back, as the Huskies try to get their ground game going a little bit. Brock Heward brings them to the line of scrimmage at the 10-yard line. 4 wideouts. They use the H-back. Heward, quick out. He's got Dane Looker close to a first down. On first down, Brandon McLemore drove him out of bounds. Looker had 12 catches last week against USC. That's a Washington record. The defense that the Huskies will go up against. That defensive line really led by the defensive ends. Patu and Miller trying to get to Brock Heward. They don't blitz a whole lot. Chris Vanderveer has done a great job stepping up at middle linebacker. And Bowman, their best cover guy, the most talented man in the secondary.
Stadium's loud. Heward's changing the play.
2nd and 1. Give it to Hurst, fighting his way to the 20. I'm not sure he got it. He was really popped. Chris Vanderveer and Aaron Chevron. And get to the 20-yard line.
Terry, you mentioned the last couple of years Oregon's defense has been near the bottom of the pack. But anybody in the conference will tell you this year the defense has really improved. They'd like to make a stop here on 3rd and short.
So it's 3rd and inches. Long count for Heward. Going to run it straight up the middle, and flags all over the place as Willie Hurst ran straight into the line.
You know, when the nose of the ball is right there on the first down marker, I mean, you're just a couple of links away from a first. I'm not sure that you want to take a step back and hand it off. Quarterback sneak there. You don't lose yardage. Usually pick it up.
Dead ball. No play. False start. Offense.
Moot point. Doesn't make any difference.
Jim Springer, the referee, sending Washington back, so it won't be 3rd and inches now.
No, and now they will do what Heward does best. They'll throw.
And it's been such a struggle for him, because, and you talked about it, how frustrated he has gotten, but he hasn't quit leading this team.
He took a shot on the chin last week, got 4 stitches, stayed in the game, didn't miss a play. He wants everybody around him to have that same kind of toughness.
First offset in the backfield. Look at what they have done on 3rd down. The quick throw out, incomplete. Nice play by Eric Edwards on the coverage. Trying to hit Gerald Harris was Brock Heward that time, right at the stake.
Boy, dangerous pass to get the first, and Edwards almost had the pick. Now, he read this almost immediately because Heward looked in that direction as soon as the pattern developed. Now, look, he's looking. Edwards breaks, almost has the interception. The ball's high. Had it been a little bit lower, he could have had it.
Their feet got tangled up a little bit, too. I think that helped him. Ryan Fleming on for his first punt of the afternoon, right at the goal line. Michael Fletcher back at his 45. Low snap and a low punt. Fletcher better get away from that thing. Going to roll dead at the 46-yard line. A 39-yard punt and obviously no return. But good field position for Oregon on their second possession of the day. Early on, no score in Eugene.
Exciting Sunday. It's a
Jim Lamright knows what he's up against. He's been to Autzen Stadium plenty of times throughout his career, and this is a loud stadium. 1st and 10 for the Ducks. Their second possession intended for Damon Griffin. Not well thrown. Terry Butler on the coverage again.
Terry, yesterday when we talked with the coaches at Oregon, they said we're going to test that secondary of Washington. It's been depleted by injuries. They're moving guys around. It was tested last week. It didn't hold up well. We're going after it. And so far they have. Very first play of the game, they went long. Then here again, they go against Butler. Good coverage that time to knock it down. So far, Washington has stood up to the test of Akili Smith.
Jerry Brown, the junior, in at tailback now, right behind Chris Young. He'll operate out of the eye. They're going to run the option, and this is where Akili Smith is so dangerous. Keeps it and gets to the 47 before Lester Towns, the junior out of Pasadena, California, takes him down. Smith can beat you so many ways, though.
Well, he really can. And what really is special is he's a multi-dimensional quarterback, you know, with great size and good speed. I was listening to a sports show this morning, and they said he is the classic drop-back passer. And I'm thinking, well, he's pretty good on that corner, too, because he gets out and he'll run that option. And he's got that live arm, so he's dangerous in so many different ways. And I think probably he's most dangerous when the play breaks down and he gets into his creativity.
Brock Heward, maybe the classic drop-back passer. Akili Smith is not a guy who I would describe that way.
I laughed.
3rd and 4 for the Ducks under pressure. Smith throws it away. Here comes the flag. That's got to be grounding. Mac Tuiaea brought the pressure, and that is something that Washington has done so well this year.
Well, the closest guy to it was an offensive lineman. Smith really didn't have anybody around, and he was right smack in the middle of the pocket, too. So, I mean, there is no question but the fact he was just trying to unload this. Now, if you'll watch it, he's just surrounded by linemen, all right? And he throws it, and the big guys are the only ones there. So that is a loss of down, and now they're really up against it.
Now moves him back to the 30. Now there's Joe Jarzinka, and he's able to stand at his own 20 instead of inside his 10.
Joe's got to maintain his emotions, though. He's got to keep them harnessed. The first time he started running without the ball and almost lost it.
Josh Bidwell, a 51-yard punt on his first attempt. Another snap this time, and another bomber. Jarzinka, at the 16 steps out of bounds as soon as he caught the football. Joe's never going to fair catch it, but not much of a chance so far against Bidwell. A 46-yard punt and no return. That's his winning out so far in a game that we expected, and most did, to be a shootout between the two quarterbacks.
So far, Terry, it's been a game of field position, and Oregon's had the advantage. They started offensively with great field position, and Washington's had poor, but still haven't been able to capitalize.
The Huskies out of the eye now. Damon Willis in at fullback ahead of Willie Hurst, the tailback. Brock Heward going to give it to Hurst over the left side. Tripped up initially by Aaron Chevron. And may have fallen ahead for 2 at the most. Next Saturday right here on ABC Sports, live at 3:30 Eastern time. There's your lineup on the West Coast. The Bruins try to keep it rolling against these Washington Huskies. Of course, the great one in Manhattan, Kansas. Kansas State hosting Nebraska. The rest of your lineup, make sure you call your cable or satellite company for those available on pay-per-view next week. And I know you and I haven't given it to Kansas State at this point. Everyone's kind of assumed that they're going to beat Nebraska. Heward to throw, got Juergens. Didn't gain much though. Out to the 22. Chris Juergens, the freshman of Olympia, Washington, before Justin Wilcox brought him down.
They keep spreading the field, and when they do that, they're spreading the Oregon defense a little bit thin. Now today, the Ducks are trying to get back to that gangrene defense they used to really lay claim to, but they aren't getting the pressure that they were hoping for on Heward, because it's just like that. The 3-step drop, the throw, release before the pressure can ever get to him.
3rd and 2, and for the first time, we see Marcus Tuiasosopo in at quarterback. They'll run the option. That's what he does so well. Tripped up behind the line of scrimmage.
He fell ahead near a first down. Michael Fletcher was the man who got his feet. We'll have to wait for the spot. Marcus says he's got it.
He's going to be awfully close, and they're going to bring a measurement out. They're going to bring the chains out. You know, Bob Foster, the defensive coordinator, who was the head coach at Cal Davis, was telling us every time number 11, Tuiasosopo, comes into the game, they have to know that. They get the first down. They've got to know as soon as he comes in, they're going to run the football. So that means the number 1, the Fletcher, the Rover, he's got to come up right now. See him? He comes up, he puts the pressure. He just didn't wrap his arms and take him down where he first hit him. Tuiasosopo leaned forward and got the first down.
Marcus out now and Brock Heward back in, but last week against USC, Jim Lambright with some trickery. He put Tuiasosopo in, Heward out at the wideout spot, and Marcus threw the football. And on the next down, Brock Heward ran a quarterback draw, which you don't expect him to do. 1st and 10 at the 26. Quick out, Dane Hooker to catch, but he's tripped up right away. Michael Fletcher. How quick is Fletcher? The junior out of Carson, California.
Washington is spreading that field from sideline to sideline. They're using 4 receivers, sometimes 1 back, sometimes no backs. And when they do that, the more receivers Washington puts in the field, the more defensive backs Oregon needs. And that means they're probably playing zone coverage. And for Heward, that's just easy pickings.
How about that Michigan score? The final and a huge win for the Wolverines, who still could go to the Rose Bowl. Willie Hurst trying it straight up the middle. Fights his way for maybe a yard.
All right, so that time they went to the wide receivers. Things thinned out in the defense, and so they tried to run the football. Look at this. Look at this. Here they are, all the way across the field. See? And there's only 1 back here. So they thinned out in here, so they're just going to run in there and attack the soft spots. Go ahead and run it, and you'll see what happens. Now, I will say this. The front 6 for Oregon played that extremely well and actually won the battle up front. But it was what Heward wanted. He got it. They just didn't execute.
Another key 3rd down for Heward. 3 receivers to the near side as he changes the play. Quick drop, broken up right at the line of scrimmage. C. Hamish, who was in on the last stop, the senior from Portland, got his hand up.
Maybe Gangrene is back. Defense playing pretty well. There's not a whole lot going right now for the offense. Heward this time, he's looking, never looks off of his receiver. And I mean, they're coming in with big hands. Big hands for Hamish.
Ryan Fleming on for his 2nd punt of the afternoon. Fletcher back at his 32. Much better punt from Fleming this time. From the 27. Fletcher almost got outside. Brought down at the 32-yard line. A 48-yard punt from Ryan Fleming. And 4 yards on the return for Fletcher. And the defenses have played well so far. No score.
We spend an amazing amount of time selecting our fund managers and our analysts.
Everybody here loves the stock market, loves trying to figure out companies and understand their business better.
We have very bright people. We have people that work amazingly hard.
To me, this is my dream job. Picking the right stock is a great feeling because you know it has a direct impact on so many shareholders.
We pick our people just as carefully as we select our stocks.
Visit our website or call your advisor.
When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
If you've been thinking about jumping into a rugged new Montana,
I need more room!
now's a really good time.
Never seen a minivan do that before.
Maybe it's not really a minivan. Life was more exciting in Montana. Now jump into a rugged Montana with this limited time offer. But get a move on because the train's leaving the station. See your Pontiac dealer today.
You've been watching videos for a long time, but I bet you don't know. AFB on ABC. You'll be surprised. See you tonight.
No score in Eugene, Oregon, as the Ducks take over at their own 33-yard line. The third possession of the game for them. This is the average starting position for both teams. Washington deep in their own territory for each of their possessions.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about, Terry. I mean, it's been terrific field position to start these offensive drives for Oregon, but they haven't been able to capitalize. Really, certainly haven't moved the football. For Washington, well, they've been backed up. They can't get it going either.
Neither team has had a running game as of late. Jerry Brown, the junior out of Pacoima, California, is a guy who's had injuries the last couple of seasons. Came out of the Los Angeles area as the all-time leading rusher in high school there. And he's getting some playing time. Herman Ho-Ching was expected to play, and we may see him. Darren Vladimir started the game, but they've tried nearly everyone in that backfield. Quick throw behind Griffin. He can't hang on.
You know, you're talking about the running backs. Reuben Drones, of course, had those 202 yards and a couple touchdowns against Michigan State. He had 3 200-yard games. Then he broke his leg. Herman Ho-Ching, as you mentioned, against UTEP, got banged up, hurt his knee, and Kevin Parker hurt his ankle. So, you know, when your top 3 tailbacks get hurt, and then Latimer, of course, got his shot and had 79 yards in the second half against USC, but it's just not the same. You never really get in that rhythm, and your tailbacks don't get a good fit with your offensive line, and you never get in sync, and that's been a problem.
And neither team has been able to do that. On the other side, Washington, Maurice Shaw's been out with back surgery. Jason Harris is out with a pinched nerve. It's rested on the shoulders of the quarterback. Akili Smith, with plenty of time, completes this one to Tony Hartley. His first catch of the afternoon. Finally brought down at the 39. We'll see where the forward progress took it. Anthony Von Tour, the Rover, stopped him there. Well short of a first down. And Hartley and Griffin, dangerous wide receivers, but it was all Hartley a week ago. Griffin has struggled lately.
But Von Tour did a great job keeping him in front. He knew he had to come back to make that catch, and it kept him from getting to the chains.
So Bidwell on for his third punt. He's gone 51 yards and 46 yards so far. Joe Jarzinka, who does everything for Washington, back at his own 19. And no pressure again. This one high but short under pressure. Jarzinka fumbles the football, and the Ducks have it. The first big play of the game. There is a flag down, and it may be the 2-yard rule.
They did encroach the 2-yard marker. There's no question about it. Plus the fact that Renard Edwards was in there as well, and I think he actually bumped into his own guy, Jarzinka.
You have to give him the 2-yard cushion, and I'm sure that's what they're going to call.
Pass interference with the opportunity to catch the kick. 2-yard belt. 5-yard penalty for the spot. First down 10.
Now watch, even if he pushes his own guy into his man, that's an encroachment. Now, there's the two-yard circle. Actually, he was not pushed in, but he definitely encroached in the 2-yard circle. So even though they don't like the call, it's a good one.
Joe likes it. McLemore was within the 2 yards. There's no question, but it was Jarzinka who came up after McLemore was there. Doesn't matter, though. So it's 1st and 10 from the 30. Heward on the roll. Throws quick out right through the hands of Dane Rooker. Take a good look. That doesn't happen very often.
No, and I'll tell you something. That's what drives Heward crazy. See, Brock Heward is such a competitor. We talked about this before. He does not like it when his guys make these mental mistakes. And that was certainly a mental error right there. He took his eye off the ball just for that split, dropped it. It was a catchable pass. They're ready to move the chains.
Brock, the 3rd all-time leading passer in Washington history. His brother Damon, #1. And there's what he did a week ago, setting Pac-10 records and Washington records in tying them. Willie Hurst, a good gain over the right side across the 35 to the 36 before Chris Vanderveer brought him down.
It'll be 3rd down 5.
Got some good blocking, too. Watch the right side of this thing because they're going to come up right behind those big linemen. They're following Hutton, Ward, and Dalen. And look, they get a good push out there. It was a breakdown on the inside, but the outside got the push. Had he had one more step to the outside, he would have been moving those chains and then picking up 10, 20 more yards.
Brad Hutt, the center, and here's his name every time the quarterback wants to snap. Jarzinka in the slot now. 3 receivers to the near. Bit of motion before the snap flags down as Chris Jurgens catches pass for a first down, but I believe they got an illegal shift or illegal motion in the backfield.
They were the wideouts. One guy came off the line and one guy jumped up to the line while the snap was taking place. Can't have two guys in motion.
Illegal motion, offense. 5-yard penalty.
See, that would have been fine had it been one player, but they had two guys doing it. You cannot do that. Two guys cannot be in motion at the same time, and they were moving.
It's a second key penalty for the Washington offense. They had 3rd and inches on a previous drive and were backed up. So this brings up 3rd and long, and it brings the crowd out of their seats. 5 receivers again for Heward. Under pressure, going up top to Jurgens with the dive. Can't make the catch.
And
covered by Justin Wilcox.
Instead of Chris Jurgens.
Boy, Heward had the right play called. They spread everybody. There was nobody in the backfield. There were no backs, and he got good pressure. So what he wanted to do is he wanted to go up top on a timing pattern, and he does. Look, here he is up here on a short post now, and he puts the ball up, but it almost looks like he stopped running the pattern. And as soon as Jurgens stopped running the pattern, there's the ball waiting for him, and he goes up in one hand's not going to bring it in.
So here's Fleming on for another punt. It's been all defense so far. Line drive punt. Fletcher at his 28. One way, then the other, and then backward. Nowhere to run. A 42-yard punt, no return. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by the Grand Am with solid form design. It's excitement well built from Pontiac. National Car Rental. So what are you waiting for? Let's go. State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And Nike. The leaves will not be on those trees very much longer. Shortly or coastal today. And it feels very winter-like.
Clouds closing in on the round-shouldered hills of Eugene.
Is there a blue-gray sky? Herman Ho-Ching, who has been out with a knee injury since September 19th, has now made his way back into the lineup. Play action for Smith. Plenty of time. Going deep to Haynes. Donald Haynes to the 16. One-on-one with Nigel Burton, the cornerback. Haynes had him beat. Burton saved the touchdown.
Ho-Ching came in. It looked like he was going to run an underneath pattern. The corners went soft. Butler went soft. Burton went soft. And all of a sudden, they see a guy behind them. Now, look, there's number 8 right there, Burton. They run right by him because he was biting and looking at Ho-Ching up tight. By that time, the wide receiver Haynes had gotten a couple steps on him, and the ball was perfectly thrown by Smith. They've gone after the secondary several times now. They finally caught him.
53 yards on the pass. Here comes Herman Ho-Ching trying the right side. Inside the 15 to the 14 before Jabari Issa brings him down along with Lester Towns. So the first big play by an offense today, and the first time that either team has moved the football.
Tell you this, too. Ho-Ching gives him a little bit of life when he comes back in. They didn't know if he'd play. As soon as he does, I think the entire offense starts to pick it up a little bit. The other thing is, now that Oregon's down inside the 15-yard line, that's like chum to a shark. I mean, they are very, very successful when they get down in the red zone.
Player down is Brendan Jones, the free safety for Washington. The senior out of La Crescenta, California. And good news, he's up.
Talk about success. Look at this. 32 times inside the red zone, and they've come away with 30 scores. And what's most impressive about that is they're not all field goals. They've got 21 touchdowns, so they've converted 65% of the time into the end zone. That is big time. Mike Bellatti's one of those guys. He knows if you're going to work, if you're going to get down with the field is short, you better capitalize. And so far, his clubs have done it.
There goes Herman. Ho-Ching trying the left side. Looking to get outside. And fighting his way inside the 10. And it gets to the 8 for a first down. He didn't get there, but he gets to the 10-yard line before Burton tripped him up.
Yeah, and Hartley got him a block, but it was Ho-Ching who brought the entire crowd to its feet with a little bit extra effort. We told you when he came into the ball game, he got all his players excited. But when he dove forward and got that extra effort and a few more yards, he got the crowd excited. Now watch, he'll actually get hit just inside the 15-yard line. Okay, here comes the hit. Now watch the extra effort on the bad knee. Once, twice, dives inside the 10, picked up an extra 5, and brought the crowd roaring to its feet.
Got a nice block from Tony Hartley to spring it. Ho-Ching with the carry, dances around, and gets back to the line of scrimmage. That's about it. Again, he has to get to the 8 for the first down. Jeremiah Farms, the sophomore out of Sacramento, on the stop, and they're about a yard shy of a first down.
Terry, this is a team, Oregon, that averages 39 points a game, 8th best in the nation. Of course, when I said that the other day to the coaches, and Mike laughed, and because they scored only 3 points last week in Tucson, but you know that's not normal. This is a club that's so explosive. They scored 63 against Stanford.
Now, the lack of a running game really caught up to him last week.
Well, it hurt him right here.
Nathan Villegas coming on, 27-yard attempt, and he gets it. To the first points of the ball game, the field goal from Villegas. But on the other hand, Tim, Washington's got to feel good about the fact that after giving up a big play, their defense held.
There's no question about it. I think both sides feel pretty good about that. Bellotti knows his club finally got on the board, so he's hoping that, you know, they matched last week already. Now he's hoping that the cap will be off. And then for these guys, they did make the stop.
Well, tomorrow at 3 Pacific, 2 Mountain Time, right here on ABC Sports, Thrifty Car Rental Skate America International from Detroit. Nicole Bobek and others in the major event of the season in the United States, the first major international competition held for these skaters. That is tomorrow at 3 Pacific, right here on ABC Sports.
And Jim Lambright will be the first to tell you that he's a big figure skating guy. Loves to hear Terry Gannon on there with Peggy Fleming and Dick Button.
I'm sure he told you that yesterday, yeah. Peggy says hello, by the way.
Hello to Peggy. She looks great.
In Los Gatos, California. Short pooch kick. Joe Jarzinka at the 21 scrambles out to the 36.
And Terry, that's the best starting field position for Washington all day.
Which is saying something, because it's not spectacular starting field position, but Joe Jarzinka got him there, the all-everything, former walk-on. By the way, Brendan Jones has a stinger. He was down a moment ago, and he will return, so that's good news for Washington.
See that 3 of 7 for Ewart, but those are just probing numbers so far. He's just looking for the soft spots. They're just putting in their offense, going through the charts, and now finding out what's working and what's not, and then they'll start to hone in on the weaknesses.
Hasn't been able to connect as of yet. Play action for Heward going up top for Desasure, who can fly. One-on-one, a lot of contact and broken up. Rashad Bowman, the best coverage man, and there was plenty of contact with the arms all the way down the sideline.
Jim Lambright was yelling for a flag. As a matter of fact, he was coming all the way down the sidelines. He thought there was way too much contact. Take a look at it now. Of course, it was the out and up. Now watch, the hands will start flaring both ways. Now here they're bumping and grinding. The ball's coming, and I mean to tell you, there is some major contact. Maybe Jim Lambright had an argument.
Still arguing. Well, it brings up 2nd and 10 from the 36 now.
But even without completions now, they're getting the attention of the defense.
Quick drop and a quarterback draw. Heward with room. He's got a first down with a slide at the 49.
And that's what I'm talking about. Even though it was an incompletion, they've stretched the defense with the last 2 plays by going deep. By doing that now, you're thinning out and creating some space on the inside of the defense. And, of course, he just tucked it away. I'm not sure this wasn't a quarterback. It was definitely a pre-planned quarterback draw. So they set it up with the long pass and then came back on the quarterback draw and got the first.
Spreading the field, as you said, which they've done in the first play of the game. Lester Towns being worked on the sideline. He's had a bad foot the entire season. That was Washington's longest play of the day, by the way. Willie Hurst fights his way into Oregon territory, knocked out of bounds at about the 45. Michael Fletcher, whose name has been called often, hit him there.
And other than Heward's run, that's the other longest run by a back so far in this game.
So the two longest plays for Washington, ironically, coming on the ground after we've talked about how they have no ground game.
Yeah, but it goes back to the pass. I
Sure.
mean,
And
that's what we said they were probing numbers for him. You know, they're just setting some things up, and then they will start to hone in.
A gain of 8, so it's 2nd and 2 from the 45. Hurst the lone setback. Gonna give it to him. Bounces outside, got a first down. Inside the 40 to the 37. And Washington setting up the run with the pass and spreading the field, and now the ground game's starting to take effect.
Yeah, and they had 4 wide receivers that time. 3 came down our way, and then 1 back the other side. You only had 5 guys in the middle, so they were soft there, so that's where they attacked again.
A gain of 8, and they'll move the chains.
It's all numbers. You want to outnumber the other guys.
Hurst, only a freshman out of Compton, California. Willison at fullback now, as they did on first down. Play action. Hewitt throws and overthrows the intended receiver. Gerald Harris wanted a flag. Again, there was some bumping and shoving going on all the way down the field.
And a good call by Hewitt. It just wasn't well executed. But again, here's what happened. Look, right here, you only have 7 guys in the box. So he figures we're not going to run. We're going to go ahead and we're going to try to throw because out here we've got one-on-one coverage. It just wasn't executed, but it was the right call. He got good protection. Look at the protection there. He's still looking to his receivers underneath his coverage, so he goes deep to the wide receiver and overthrows it.
Willie Hurst tripped up initially, gets back to the line of scrimmage, may have fallen ahead for a yard. That's it. Vanderveer was in there at the end. Sualua also in on the stop. So it brings up 3rd down as Hurst comes out. Jarzinka now in as Hurst comes out. And Jawarren Hooker, the track star who can absolutely fly, is in too. There's Joe.
And not a bad place to try something a little bit different.
Out of the shotgun on 3rd and 8. Quick throw, Jawarren Hooker. Let him use his speed. He gets close to a first down. I don't think he got it when you look at the marker on the far sideline. Caleb Smith, number 56, came on.
Had 5 wide receivers, nobody in the backfield but Hewitt, and they ran like a little flanker screen. Even if they're short, I think I'd go for it here if I was Washington. You're in a hostile stadium. You've got about an inch to go for the 4th, less than a yard anyway.
And your kicking game is not one of your strong points. So they'll decide. Tuiasa Sopo was on near the end of that. The end of the first quarter. We'll see what they do when we come back after this message in a word from our ABC stations.
With its wider track and precise cornering.
Quarter Sooner QB Jack Mildred passed.
Going for it on 4th down. The flip back to Jarzinka is not going to get anywhere near the line of scrimmage. On 4th and 1, Jim Lambright decides to go for it. Aaron Chevron stops Jarzinka for a loss of 4.
This was a play they put in specifically for Oregon because they thought the Ducks would run themselves out of the play. But instead, they had great contain. Everybody stays home on the reverse, and look at this. Backside pressure, flood control. They don't let him get outside. Nobody's fooled by it, and they make the stop.
What about the call on 4th and 1 to flip it back behind the line of scrimmage?
You know me, I would have just quarterback sneaked it. I had already called my play.
Ball's on the turf. Akili Smith, I believe, got it back, yeah.
But that's what we were talking about before the commercial. I mean, it was less than a yard. You've got a big quarterback. Just let him duck in there, find the crease, and go.
So it'll bring up 2nd and 12 now for Mike Bellotti and his offense. And there's a look at Brock Hewitt on the sideline, who is not in, of course. Tuiasa Sopo in on 4th and less than a yard. Well, it's been a defensive struggle so far in a game that was expected to be a shootout. Damon Griffin sees it go right through his hands.
You know, Terry, Damon Griffin is the go-to guy. He's got 34 receptions. Last week he had only 1 reception for 13 yards, and I think he's going through one of those periods where he's very frustrated. Now watch number 5. He gets the cushion, he finds the open space, and the ball's right there, a little bit thrown behind him, but certainly catchable. He's got to make that catch, and ordinarily he does. Here's a guy that sat out last year with that injured thumb. Wasn't recruited in the Pac-10, sent a highlight tape. They get him, and he turns out to be their go-to guy. Very unusual for him to drop a pass like that.
0 for 3 for the Ducks on 3rd down. Plenty of room and time. Hartley with the catch at midfield. To the 45. They'll move the chains. And Akili Smith had too much time to throw that time. He will pick you apart when you give him that much time.
I think part of it was the fact that Washington gave him too much respect. Once he starts and he has that time, now you think, all right, he's going to go into a scramble mode, and he can scramble. So you watch all the white jerseys, everybody just kind of holds their position, but they're stuck in limbo, which gives him plenty of time, and he finds the open receiver, Hartley. You can't give him too much respect. You still have to be aggressive and go after him. You've got to force him to do some things.
The numbers on Hartley. He and Griffin a great 1-2 punch for Smith. Herman Ho-Ching, the only setback on 1st down inside the 45.
Boy, Smith is good, isn't he?
Ho-Ching breaks it outside after getting away from 1 tackler. And carries another inside the 40 to the 38. Herman Ho-Ching at 5'11", 210 pounds is a big, strong load.
I think coming into this game, Ho-Ching had a couple of, he was a little bit concerned about his knee. He really hadn't taken the hits on it. Watch this, folks. He uses his power this time. He breaks outside. He's not concerned about his knee. He's already taken some hits. So he says, I'm taking these big guys on. There's Bontour, 26, and he goes for a ride because Ho-Ching, as you mentioned, is a pretty good load. He just carried him for extra yardage.
Gain is 6. Ho-Ching's got a sleeve, a brace, and 2 knee pads on an extra 10 pounds or so.
Yeah, Mike Belotti's trying to get him to take some of that stuff off.
2nd and 4. The option. Smith has a lane. He's got a 1st down to the 30-yard line.
Akili Smith on the quarterback keeper to the Washington 30-yard line.
And the same is true of the Ducks right now. They're getting it done on the ground.
His read is going to be Bontour. He comes down the end. 26 Bontour gives too much ground. He's looking for the pitch man, so Smith just cuts it up. Here's a guy who was drafted by the Pirates out of high school as an outfielder. College transfer. It's one of those guys that coaches would like to have another year or two because transferred in, he's limited with the years he can play. He's just now learned and has complete control of the offense. I don't think he had that last year.
Hit $176 in the Pirates organization. That'll turn you into a quarterback in a hurry. Going up top, Tony Hartley's got a step. He's got the ball into the end zone. Touchdown, Hartley. Touchdown pass from Smith to Hartley. He was locked up one-on-one. You're not going to stay with Tony Hartley.
And the ball was perfectly thrown, and for Akbar, it's the worst position you can be as a defensive back. He looked back, he saw the ball, he knew it was beaten. There was absolutely nothing he could do except hope that Hartley dropped it.
Villegas on for the point after. Up and good. Well, the Washington defense playing well throughout the 1st half. But they've just given up the quick strike from Smith to Hartley, his 6th touchdown catch of the year.
I wouldn't call Charlie's.
Will you ever buy options on a...
Plus other regional action.
46,000 at Autzen Stadium. Love what they just saw. The strike from Akili Smith to Tony Hartley in the end zone, and the offense finally breaking out.
Hartley's still watching the replay. He knows he just outran Akbar. That's pretty good right there. 3 receptions, 60 yards. He's averaging 20 a catch. Plus, he's got the big one, the touchdown.
They had 6 catches a week ago against Arizona. Jarzinka had his own 12. got some room. Joe Jarzinka across the 40, up to the 45-yard line. Quick burst from the former walk-on. Well, Sunday night, live at 8:15 Eastern Time on ESPN, Sunday Night Football, Trent Dilfer and the Tampa Bay Bucks host the Tennessee Oilers. Then on Monday Night Football, live at 8 Eastern Time here on ABC, the Green Bay Packers, led by Brett Favre, take on the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football. Here in Eugene, 12-11 until halftime, and now it's up to Brock Heward to try to bring the Huskies back.
He's got to get hot. He's only 4 of 10 for 25 yards.
Inside give, that's Braxton Clement, his first carry of the game. The freshman who was expected to start, but he's got a bruised shoulder that he suffered against USC. So Hurst started the game, but now Clement in.
Terry, Brock Heward knew coming into this ball game that he had to have a hot hand today. He knew that he had to lead Washington, which is banged up at the tailback position and really has not been getting the production that it hoped it would. He knew he had to get a hot hand, and hopefully that would open up some things for the other runners. But right now at 4 for 10, he's not getting it done.
Straight drop this time in a deep one. Heward with time. Over the middle, throws it up for grabs, and it's picked off. Brandon McLemore with the interception. Desasure was down there, but Heward just threw it up in the air.
McLemore was more aggressive than Desasure was. Desasure was actually trying to rearrange his route and adjust to the ball, where McLemore just went to the ball. Plenty of time for Heward. He had everything he needed to throw the football, but look at McLemore, much more aggressive. He goes up and gets it at its highest point and pulls down the pick. And Brock Heward saying, oh, man, I'm giving my guy a chance. Go to the ball.
Hope you're not a lip reader. Well, he expected Desasure to run a different route, and they're talking about it right now.
Well, McLemore was much more aggressive and made the pick.
You saw a moment ago the numbers as a flag comes down on Brock Heward and all the interceptions he has thrown as of late.
Start. Offense. 5-yard penalty.
And they're still talking about it. Well, it is time for the Aflac trivia question, this week's question. When was the last time the Washington football team was ranked lower than their basketball team? No hint this week. Except it's been a while.
Well, if you say 1998, does that get it?
It's been a while. That's all I'll say. 1st and 15, the inside give. Chris Young, the fullback, with a power run out to the 23-yard line.
Hey, I'm going to tell you something, Kerry. This is a pretty daggone good Oregon team. They're 6-2. At one point, they were 5-0. And right now, they're starting to take control of this game. And if Washington doesn't pick up its bootstraps right now, pull them up, it's going to be a good old-fashioned whooping, because right now, they're just dominating. Look at all the green jerseys, taking on the white jerseys, freeze it right there, and look at all this blocking that he has out here. Here's his lane. That is some great blocking. Right now, the Ducks are dominating.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, Paul Hackett, the USC coach, said, forget about it. Oregon is the best team in the Pac-10, bar none. Hartley wide open, and Akili Smith under pressure from Farms overthrows him out of bounds.
See, somebody has to come up and make a big play for Washington to turn the momentum around right now, because being down 10-zip in the first half is not a good thing for Washington when they're playing here.
University Athletic Department,
and they know all too well that snowball can start rolling, coming down the hill right at them. Good pressure that time, though, on Smith.
Speaking of snow, it's gotten awfully chilly here.
And remember now, this is a team, Washington, which had those 35 sacks in the last 4 games. That's as close. You just saw Farms. That's about as close as they got, other than the 1 sack.
1 sack earlier with the intentional grounding, yeah. 3rd and 4. Time for Smith this time, and throws behind the intended receiver, who was well covered. That was Bobby Nero. And Akili Smith expected a different route.
That's a pretty good stop right there. And now you give Jarzinka another shot at returning.
And there's Joe back in his own 34. The walk-on, who is an H-back wide receiver. Runs back, punts, and kicks. kicks field goals now for the Huskies. No pressure on Bidwell. And look at this one. Jarzinka backpedaling. He's going to let it go. Joe normally fields everything. He can't get to this ball. Inside the 10 at the 8. How do you like a 69-yard punt from Josh Bidwell? Mallard downs it, and Brock Heward again backed up to start a series.
People smell. Who just let that ball hit the ground when it was over his head. And that certainly is one of the don'ts of the kicking game. I mean, you never want the ball to hit the ground if you can help it. He finally just gives up on it. He's backpedaling and said it'd be too dangerous if, in fact, I field it. So it hits at the 18, rolls inside the 10, stops at the 8. By the letting the ball hit the ground, they lose those 10 yards, and now they're backed up. And I mean backed up deep.
Bidwell's longest punt of his career, a 69-yarder. He had a 61-yarder earlier this season. Now, coming up next for most of you out here on the West Coast, San Diego State hosting Fresno State. San Diego State, of course, tied with BYU. The first in the Pacific Division of the WAC. That's coming up next. Most of you here on the West Coast. So it's 1st and 10 for the Huskies. Clement, tough running over the left side. Runs into Chevron right at the 10-yard line. A gain of 3, but a hard 3.
Washington right now loading up and trying to get all the protection they can. See this 55 right here? That's Rock Nelson. Now, he normally plays behind Dalen, the right tackle, but they're bringing him in like a tight end to get an extra lineman in there. He's 290 pounds, so they've taken the small tight end out, and look, they put Nelson at the end. He's playing defensive end, offensive tight end to protect Heward.
2 wideouts, Justice Shuri and Gerald Harris. Quick drop, pump fake. Harris had a step, what an interception. Rashad Bowman with a diving pick. That is as good an interception as you are going to see.
You know, it just looks to me like the defense is gutting it out a little bit better than Washington. They're going after things a lot harder. Plenty of protection. Look at the protection right here that Heward's got. Plenty of protection. Never threatened. He throws it up and he says, Harris, go get it. But instead, look at Bowman. Bowman's playing inside, blocks him out, plays his hip pocket inside out, uses the sideline to bracket him and makes the interception.
Bowman's 3rd interception of the year. Akili Smith looking for a big one over the middle. Tony Hartley had it and lost it at the 20.
That's Washington ball.
Washington comes up with it. Hakeem Akbar on the hit. Actually, he recovered the fumble, but a big hit on Hartley caused the fumble.
Boy, and a huge turnover, too. I mean, Smith was going for the jugular there. They just got the interception, so he's throwing down deep to the 20. And a great hit, and Akbar, who was beaten on the touchdown moments ago, gets the recovery. But watch the hit. First of all, boom, there's the hit. Ball's loose right there. After 42 gets him, that's Johnson. Johnson knocked it out, and then Akbar makes the recovery.
Torrey Butler, the cornerback, is the guy with the initial hit. Hartley still shaking up a little bit. So Heward back on the field. Barely got his helmet off on the sideline.
So Butler slowed him, Johnson tagged him, and Akbar comes up with it.
Running the freshman over the left side. Ahead for a couple, maybe 3. Braxton Clement, number 29, is only a freshman, and that's what Washington's been going with. But he comes from a small town in Washington, Oroville. But he's lived really all over the world. His dad in the military, lived in Germany for a while. And a great story. The kid from a small town who comes in here, thought he'd redshirt, but now has to start because of all the injuries.
He's actually playing hurt today. He's got a bruised shoulder. He hurt it against Southern Cal.
Yeah, it was Hurst who started, actually, but they expected Clement to start. Clement into the line, nowhere to go. Dietrich Moore, the junior out of Anchorage, Alaska.
You know, Terry, this has been a tough year for Washington. We mentioned that. Washington likes to stay balanced, but the run game has not been at full speed or up to par, so the Huskies are a more passing team now. But they haven't even had that success here today. And with 2 picks, Brock Hewitt cannot get gun shy. He's got to continue to pull the trigger.
Looker and Harris to the near side. That's a sure wide to the top of your screen. Lemon the lone setback. Desasure being held, and he makes the catch. Andre Desasure with a one-handed catch because the other hand was tied up with Rashad Bowman.
You know, that's tit for tat. Bowman made that great interception, and again, he's got great coverage. But again, I think it's too aggressive coverage. They're letting him play, and they're playing hard, and they're bumping and grinding a lot. This is a terrific catch by Desasure. Now watch, here they go, both of them using their hands again. Now the ball's in the air. Desasure's locating it. Bowman doesn't until it's late. When he tries to close on it, now watch this catch. One-handed. Oh, actually, you got to give Bowman part of that reception. He had the other hand on it.
The numbers on Desasure, who can fly, a track star. And the Ducks came over and made contact.
Right on the field.
That was a perfect pass from Brock Hewitt, too.
Well, he's given his receivers a chance to get to it. The two interceptions, really, I didn't think should have been picked.
No play. Contact by the defense. Offside, 5-yard penalty.
That was a 35-yard gain on that catch by Desasure, by the way. Earlier, we asked you the Aflac trivia question, and there it was. When was the last time that a Washington football team was ranked lower than its basketball team? Take a shot.
1975, December.
You saw it come up. It has been a while.
When in doubt, look about, better cheat than repeat.
The Hoops team, though, well, they were good last year and ranked high this year. The season about ready to get underway, at least on the college level. The NBA might be a while off. Braxton Clement over the left side for a few.
Terry, don't you have the feeling that this drive is huge for Washington, especially after Desasure made that nice catch? Hewitt put the ball right there for him with a nice throw. But, I mean, here they are down to the 36-yard line, and you have a feeling that it would just break their spirit, I think, if they come away without any points here.
They had the one drive which they sustained early in the game, but couldn't get anything out of it. And this has been their most productive so far. Play action, Hewitt, no pressure at all. Throws out, Desasure with a diving catch. Stays in bounds at the 24. Well, he's come up with a couple of terrific catches, Tim.
Came into the game with 18 receptions. He's got two of the best you'll ever see here on this drive. He made that one on Bowman a second ago. Now watch this. This is a down and out. He gets a good push. Now watch the break to the outside. Now he's got to really get over to the ball and catch it low, and he does. Great concentration, sensational hands, and they move the chains. A first down for Washington.
First and 10 from the 23. Clemens stacked up behind the line. Not this time. A number of Oregon tacklers led by Vanderveer, the middle linebacker.
But they had been using Nelson as a tight end, one of their tackles. They moved him over to tight end. That time they didn't. They went small on the offensive line and tried to run out of a passing formation.
And it showed. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, Valvoline halftime 98. Scores from around the country. There have been some big games, including the Michigan win today.
Starting to rain a little bit harder now.
Contact again. It looked, though, like there was movement on the Washington offensive line. Maybe Aaron Dalen.
No play. False start.
Time now to take a look at the Burger King update. And the biggest play of the first half, you can guess what it was. Akili Smith with a long strike to Tony Hartley.
And this is one of those situations where Akbar knows that he's beaten, looks back, can't do anything but just swing that left hand. But by that time, he's already in the end zone. And there you have it, 10-0.
30-yard strike, Hartley's 6th touchdown catch of the year. Dane Looker in motion to the far side. Hewitt, plenty of room to run now. It closes down at the 25. Remember, they were backed up and have to get all the way inside the 14 for a first down.
Well, he almost gets back to the original line of scrimmage, but it brings up third down and just over 10 yards now. So This is a big, big play for Washington in this first half. If they could get in at halftime just down 3, that's huge.
Defensively, when a team like Washington now is so one-dimensional, though, and you have 3rd and long, well, it makes it even easier.
Well, that's right, because you don't have your running backs healthy. Matter of fact, they don't even have a running back in the backfield right now. They've got Clement, but he's off behind the tight end.
He's offset. Here comes Looker in motion. Going back, and Hewitt's got to call a timeout. The play clock running down.
Actually, what they did, Terry, they put Clement on the opposite side of the tight end, put him behind the tackle, and when they do that, oftentimes they'll just use him on a little swing pass.
So Brock will go to the sideline, coming back with 3rd and 12. 4:40 left until halftime.
May I help you?
Biggest play of the first half for Washington. 3rd and 12 coming up from the 25 for Brock Hewitt.
He's been getting good protection. They haven't even gotten close to him today.
Dane Looker goes back in motion to the far side. Plenty of protection again. He's got Harris in the end zone.
Touchdown.
Catch. Gerald Harris with a touchdown catch.
And again, that's a great catch, Terry. And a perfect throw.
25 yards. Hewitt with a huge play before the half.
I mean, this ball is perfectly thrown. Look at him break to the outside. Now the ball's out there waiting for him. He just goes up and takes it in on the fingertips. Harris with his 2nd touchdown of the year. He now has 23 catches for the season. That's a big one.
And the extra point, no good. Joe Jarzinka. Little Joe not able to complete the PAT. And that has come back to haunt the Huskies throughout the year.
Well, a touchdown, again, give the offensive line a lot of credit because they gave Hewitt plenty of time to throw. And then when he threw it, he's got velocity on it, puts a little bit of air under it so that only his guy Harris can get there. That is a well-thrown ball and a nice catch by Gerald Harris. Playing with a jammed finger today, too.
Yeah, I had one against USC and some doubt as to whether he was going to play or start today. Brock frustrated in the first half, coming up with a big play because certainly the momentum and all the emotion on the side of the Ducks until that play. Jim Lambright, there's no panic in him either. We talked to him yesterday. He's been through all you can be through as a head coach, an assistant coach, 30 years on the staff at Washington. Very patient with this team, which is awfully young.
It is awfully young. And then you've got a guy like Jarzinka, who's really played beyond his capabilities, comes on as a walk-on, a preferred walk-on. But now he misses that extra point, and that's big. Now instead of being down a field goal, they're down 4. And in a game like this, you cannot afford that.
Jim Skursky, who handles the kickoff duties. Jason Cooper. No, it's Fletcher who's going to field it right ahead of Cooper. Sidesteps 1 across the 30, still up. Cuts back and out to the 38-yard line. Michael Fletcher with a nice return of 22 yards. Well, ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Ford Taurus. Ford, built to last. Burger King, if you ask us, it just tastes better. Nicoderm CQ, the power to calm, the power to comfort, the power to help you quit. And Valvoline, you can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. Some dark skies off in the distance here, expecting rain all afternoon. It's gotten chillier and chillier in Eugene, Oregon. Herman Ho-Ching straight ahead with a power run to the 44. And let's check in with the New York studios right now. And John Saunders. John?
Carrying the Burger King update, Virginia and Florida State. Take a look at this run by Peter Warwick. Goes around this side. Nothing there. Back this way. Back about 10 yards. Stay on my feet. Get towards the sideline. And this one picks up only 8 yards after he runs about 50. But more importantly, it sets up Chris Wenke with a little touchdown run. Florida State leading it now 21-7. Terry.
All right, John, thanks. Chris Wenke, Tim, has been nearly perfect since that game we had in Raleigh against NC State when he threw the 6 interceptions.
And NC State beat him that day. And you're right, he's been on a pretty good roll. Having another good day against Virginia today. And I suspect he'll have his way next week against Wake Forest.
Flags on the play. Jabari Issa may have jumped offside for Washington. And don't count Florida State out of the Bowl Championship Series picture yet.
Contact by the defense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Still some great scenarios as you look ahead to the BCS.
Ohio State. The numbers in Kansas State to match up with Nebraska next week.
You know, despite the rankings and despite the BCS formula, despite all that, USC coach Paul Hackett said that Oregon was the best team this conference had.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, and of course that was, I believe, the week that USC was playing Oregon, and the coaches will tend to talk that way. Wisconsin still undefeated. Akili Smith throws out to his tight end, Jed Weaver, with a big catch. Inside the 25 at the 23. Weaver, the senior out of Redmond, Washington, his 19th catch of the season.
28 yards.
Another former walk-on, undersized overachiever. Tough son of a gun, dragged him all the way across. And again, Smith throwing well today. That's another gain of 28, so they continue to take it in big chunks.
Hey, getting back to the Bowl Championship Series for one moment, that matchup next week in Manhattan, Kansas. I know you don't believe it's a shoo-in for Kansas State.
Well, I think this is the year for Kansas State. The stars are aligned. They certainly are a very talented football team, and they think they're going to beat Nebraska. But I hate to take on Nebraska when they've got a couple losses already. Yeah, I think Nebraska's going to give all they can handle.
Chad Chance, the fullback, loses the ball, but it was whistled dead, I believe. And now one official saying it's Washington ball. Now, I know I heard a whistle, and they're going to give it back to Oregon. Now, everybody's kind of handed Kansas State that win already.
Don't do it. Hey, folks, Nebraska is still Nebraska. And a couple tough losses just make them tougher.
But it's 2nd and 13 now after that ball was loose after the whistle. Now, Ohio State, and UCLA, Tennessee, and Kansas State. Now, Kansas State also has been penalized for their weak schedule, but it gets much tougher the last 3 games. And they'll be rewarded for that in the Bowl Championship Series standings. Akili Smith with a wall of time. Donald Haynes, touchdown. Haynes wide open, and Smith stood there calmly and just drilled it over the middle. 27 yards.
I'll tell you this, not only did he have time, but he had 2 receivers open. He could have taken his pick. He looks left, looks right, decides to go back, and he picks Haynes. Griffin was open on the left side. He's now 8 of 14, 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. Akili Smith, they put the game plan on his shoulders. We told you that early on. They told him to go after the weak secondary, and he's been successful.
Nathan Villegas on for the point after, splits the uprights. 209 yards already in the air for Akili Smith.
Griffin was open. Haynes was open. Look at this. They had underneath. Now, it looks like they're in zone coverage. They are. It looks like they're in a cover 2, which is a zone, but the safety's supposed to pick up top. Well, Butler, number 10, doesn't get over when Haynes comes across the middle, and he splits the seam, and he was open. Great read by Smith. Look at Haynes. Donald Haynes, his 12th reception, his first touchdown catch of the year, and he's a senior. So when you get those touchdown catches, you want to remember them and enjoy them and celebrate them.
Had a good week against Arizona with 5 catches, but did not catch a touchdown. And as you mentioned, his first one this season. Akili Smith has come so far since we watched him a year ago. In confidence, in knowledge of the offense, how he runs the offense, composure, poise.
Last year, he relied a lot on just his raw talent. Didn't have a complete understanding of the game plan and the offense. This year he does, and you're right. You can see it in him. He is comfortable. He is confident.
And Katz kicks this one to Torrey Butler at the 7. Bringing it back up the middle, runs into his own man. He'll bring him down at the 25. Well, whatever momentum Washington got from the touchdown catch by Harris, it is now swung back in favor of the Ducks. This one a big game for those in the middle of the Pac-10, Washington and Oregon, and some other action in the league today. Most of it not yet underway, though. UCLA, of course, leading in number 14 in the country against Oregon State.
Yeah, and UCLA in Corvallis on a rug that's been there since 1984. It's not a good playing surface for UCLA.
Washington State taking on number 11 Arizona, and that's tonight. Eward looked like he was trying to set up a screen. Now has a lane to run, and he's got a first down at the 38-yard line. A gain of 12 for Brock Eward running the 2-minute drill now.
He got a great block from Chad Ward, and I'm not sure why he didn't go downfield to Andre Desaussure, because he broke free of the coverage. Look at number 3, Desaussure. He's wide open. See, he came back underneath, and there was absolutely nobody there. Eward never saw him.
Desaussure wide to the near side now. Quick drop. That's who he's looking for initially. Nowhere to run. Rock ahead to the 41-yard line. Took a pop at the end.
That's the first time he's had pressure all day, because it was supposed to be just a quick drop in the timing pattern.
Saul Patu, the defensive end out of Seattle. Hit him hard. 2nd and 8. Got time this time. Dane Looker with a catch out in the flat. Gets away from one, but not entirely. Tamani Joyner, the sophomore, got a hold of his foot.
But he got the first down, so they'll move the chains, and the clock stops for 1:17, so there's plenty of time where Brock Eward really doesn't have to rush here.
And he's really back in the same spot he was in on the last drive, isn't he, Tim? Trying to get some momentum before halftime.
He works well out of these situations, though.
And to send Braxton Clemens back deep in the backfield. And that's who he gives it to, with a hole up front, but there are flags on the play. And they may bring this one back.
Illegal formation, only 6 players. 5-yard penalty.
One of the receivers was off the line. They only had 6. You have to have 7. If that's the case and you only have 6 up in that interior line, then one of those wide receivers has to step up.
Well, they had that problem earlier when they had the illegal motion call. One receiver stepped off the line. Another one tried to step up to get 7 on the line. Couple of timeouts left for Eward. Dane Looker. Pass midfield. Run out of bounds at the 47 and a late flag.
It's going to be a face mask, and that'll give him a first down.
Penalty flag on the field.
Wow, that's big. And there's still plenty of time, just under a minute to go.
Personal foul. Penalty. It's the defense. At the end of the run.
First down.
And a big one.
Yeah, so an 8-yard pass now turns into a 23-yard gain.
15-yard penalty and put the ball down at the Oregon 32.
Got 56 seconds left. Still plenty of time for Eward. He doesn't have to rush now. He's down to what, the 33-yard line, just outside the 32-yard line. He's in good shape. He's got 56 seconds left. Just relax and get into his 2-minute offense.
Crowd gets back into the game here at Autzen Stadium now. Quick drop, throws out to Looker, tries to get outside, can't do it. Nice play by Rashad Bowman, who had an incredible interception earlier and then gave up a big gain with a one-on-one matchup with Gerald Harris. Quickly to the line of scrimmage on 2nd and 9. Over the middle, Looker again. Gets away from one, he's got a first down. The speed of Dane Looker, and they'll stop the clock to move the chains.
With 29 seconds left. And now you're down inside field goal range.
But remember, it's Joe Jarzinka who is your field goal kicker. He just missed an extra point.
But they feel very comfortable with Jarzinka inside 35 yards. So they've gotten that now. They're down into his comfort zone. And all of a sudden, Hewar's starting to heat up.
Numbers looking a lot better, although he does have the 2 picks.
With 29 seconds, though, he's got to start taking his shots down to the end zone.
7 straight completions for Brock Eward. On first down from the 21. Quick out, Jurgen. gets out of bounds. Inside the 15 at the 12.
You know, what is it about football that offenses make it look so easy when they get to the hurry-up offense? Well, one thing is the defense doesn't have time to set. They don't have a chance to do a lot of complicated things, so they stay in a basic zone, and that's pretty much what they were doing here. They took advantage of it and just went to the corner in the flats.
That's got to be mindset, doesn't it? And even if you're not in the old prevent defense defensively, you're back on your heels. 2nd and 1. Clement in motion. Quarterback draw. Heward met at the line of scrimmage, but gets ahead inside the 10 and quickly calls the timeout. Leia Sualua stopped him, but Heward, with his strength, able to get the first down.
Terry, that play was so close to being a touchdown. Ward missed his block. Sualua was left free, and he made the tackle. Otherwise, Heward had a lot of room to run.
So Washington has burned their 2nd timeout, and they have 1 left. And it'll bring up 1st and goal just inside the 10 with 18 seconds. They put 2 more seconds on the clock to make it 18.
Terry, the Washington offensive line has allowed only 12 sacks all year, 2nd to UCLA in the conference. And today have just given Heward terrific protection.
Yeah, he does it very well, too. Not an elusive runner, but he's strong, and he takes those quick drops and gets rid of the football right away.
Got to give Oregon a lot of credit, though, in this first half. They have pretty much controlled the first half here. And don't forget, they're coming off a good old-fashioned whooping against Arizona.
You know, as you look at Mike Bellotti, but on the other sideline, if you're Joe Jarzinka, what do you do now? He doesn't want to practice his field goals on the side. He wants to get in the game as an H-back or a receiver, but he may have to kick a field goal. There's Joe. The crowd as loud as they've been all day. 1st and goal. Heward away from 1. Scramble. Throws to the end zone. Got Looker for a touchdown. The 7th catch of the afternoon already for Dane Looker, and a critical one.
That's a great play by Heward because his primary receivers was Juergens. He was going to throw it right here, but Juergens fell down. Then he escaped the pressure, gets outside, and here comes Looker, who skated with him and fought to the outside and made the catch. Don't forget, they missed an extra point earlier, so they're going for 2 now.
Looker had 12 catches last week against USC.
They want to make this a 1 field goal game.
With 11 seconds left, going for 2, throwing the fade, and Chris Juergens was running a slant.
Score remains, Oregon 17, Washington 12.
That was just a total miscommunication.
Washington touchdown.
See, now watch. He'll come to the inside. He thinks he's got inside leverage, and right away, Heward doesn't even wait. He's throwing to the outside, thinking he is running the timing pattern.
You think Juergens just read that and came inside?
YouTube can help.
Well, Heward went up to him and talked to him. His read was different than what Heward had.
And we saw Desasure do a similar thing on the first interception of the game downfield.
You know, Heward didn't wait either. I mean, he took the snap, and then he of course evades the rush here. This is the touchdown, and then he slides and he finds Looker. Now watch what happens after he throws to Looker. Takes a pretty good lick himself. That's Bauman, the cornerback, who came up out of the secondary, made the hit.
Jim Lambright said he wouldn't trade Heward, not just because of his arm or what he's done record-wise throwing the football, but the leadership that he's provided with a very young team. He wouldn't trade him for anybody in the country. Hoops kick taken by Jed Weaver, the tight end. He's going to bring it back to the 48. There are still 6 seconds left until halftime.
That's one of those deals where you pooch it high and you hope the guy will call a fair catch right there, but he doesn't. Instead, he picks up a couple of blockers and the guys overrun their coverage.
And everybody's relaxed expecting the fair catch.
Then you see the kicker standing down there in front of you and you start to get these wide eyes thinking, all right, I'm running over him.
Akili's going to take a shot. Throwing the Hail Mary. 3 receivers down there. And he overthrows him right through the hands of Ture Butler. And that will do it for the first half. The Huskies have come back, and now they've got a little bit of spirit going to the locker room. But it is Oregon who leads 17-12. Valvoline halftime 98 comes up next from New York. John Saunders, Todd Blackledge with scores and highlights from around the country. After this message and a word from our ABC stations.
My name is Dennis Porter.
7 yards to Donald Haynes. 17-12 the lead at halftime. Today against Boston College, Scott Mutrin, 7 yards to Anthony DeCosmo. 2-point conversion is no good, but take a look there. 11 seconds to go. Mike Cloud with one more shot gets stopped in the backfield, and the Irish celebrate. Despite the fact Boston College had lost 5 in a row into that game. Jarius Jackson, another good performance.
Notre Dame struggled a little on defense, but they got good balance on offense. Jackson, a couple touchdown passes. Autry Denson, 128 yards rushing. Mike Cloud had 141 yards and a couple touchdowns for BC, but couldn't get it in there on the last play.
Autry Denson goes over 4,000 yards with the Irish. Only other back
with live action, interviews, game highlights, and live polls at ESPN.com and on America Online.
Back at Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon. The University of Oregon marching band as the rain falls softly upon the field and going through a number of themes from cartoons. I have never seen Tim Brandt dance so effectively as when they broke into the Fred Flintstone thing.
Well, it's one of my all-time favorites, and you know, not everybody can dance to that.
You did it well. Hi again, everybody. Terry Gannon along with Tim Brandt, 17-12 here at halftime. Oregon in the lead, and it was Akili Smith early on, Tim. We expected him to be effective. He was. 2 touchdowns, 209 yards, but Brock Heward coming back in the second quarter, he was great.
Well, he really was. Brock Heward threw 2 interceptions, and that got everybody's hit 9 straight completions, and that's big.
They had the problems, though, with the point after. Joe Jarzinka missing the first one. They went for 2 and couldn't complete that. So that's why it's 17-12 right now. The Ducks trying to keep it rolling. Back with the second half kick after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
There is North,
home of the Bowl Championship Series.
Just an average day in the great Northwest. Raining throughout the entire day, although it's picked up in the last half hour or so. 17-12, the Oregon Ducks leading Brock Heward and the Washington Huskies right now, but new life Tim Brandt for Washington in that second quarter as Heward got hot.
And the Huskies have the ball to start this half, you're right, and with 9 straight completions for Heward, you've got to believe now he's going to come out and start throwing because the running game was not that effective. Now, if you just pass and pass, eventually, you know, they're going to bite you, and he threw those 2 picks. But right now, as soon as he started getting on that streak with 9 straight, the running game got a little bit better, and all of a sudden Washington's on the board, and 17-12 is a ball game. When we thought at one point Oregon was going to start to run away with it.
Both teams with 2 losses in the conference. Ture Butler comes up quickly to handle his kickoff, and then it's drilled at the 35. Oh, what a hit. Wesley Mallard, the linebacker, just smoked him. The Morgan Stanley Dean Witter first half statistics.
Well, the 2 interceptions jump out at you, but Oregon was not able to get any points off of those interceptions. So, you know, that didn't hurt them as badly as they thought. You look at the 3rd down conversion, neither team really outstanding in that regard, and the reason is because they've been passing and haven't been able to get anything on first. They're putting themselves in bad spots.
How about the 29 yards rushing by Oregon, too? You expect them to try to get some kind of ground game going to match the air attack. First down, pass out to Chris Juergens out of the backfield up to the 40-yard line.
But both backfields depleted. You know, we certainly documented that in the first half. The tailbacks quarterbacks aren't there on either side, so they really weren't expecting the big running games.
2nd and 6. It brings up after the gain of 4, the catch by Chris Jurgens, the freshman. And we've seen a lot of freshmen getting action for both teams. Ewert trying to get something going on the opening drive of the second half. Andre Desaussure, the speedster, wide to the far side. Straight ahead goes Willie Hurst, right into the line, a gain of maybe 2. So the opening moments of the second half here in Eugene, Oregon, in an old rivalry, the 92nd meeting between Oregon and Washington. They first played back at the turn of the century.
You know, the Huskies have 5 receivers with 18 or more catches. They do spread it around, and we saw a little bit of that in that first half.
3rd and 4 from the 42. And the crowd into the second half right away. Looker goes in motion. Rolling out is Ewert. Plenty of time. Throws it right through the hands of Rashad Bowman. He almost had his second pick.
Boy, Ewert got away with one there. I'm not sure what he was doing. He had already scrambled out of the pocket. He really wasn't under a great deal of pressure, but he threw it right into the secondary, right into the defensive back.
Now, they've had some miscommunication throughout the game with the receivers.
Look at this. There's nobody really putting a whole lot of pressure on him, and he throws it right to Bowman almost.
Ryan Fleming on, the junior out of Seattle. Michael Fletcher back deep at his own 21. Going to send Fletcher back to the 15. Met right away and sent back inside the 15 to the 14 as a penalty marker on the play. A punt of 43 yards. Fletcher lost 2.
It might be a block in the back against Oregon. If it is, it'll really back him up.
43 yards on the kick.
Tim Springer's been a busy guy this afternoon. Each team with 5 penalties in the first half and a couple of key ones for Washington, which stopped drives.
During the return, they'll go block in the back. Receiving team, half the distance from the end of the run, 10.
Well, next Saturday live at 3:30 Eastern right here on ABC Sports. There's your lineup on the West Coast. The Bruins of UCLA taking on these Washington Huskies. The big matchup between Nebraska and Kansas State in the Big 12, Ohio State, Iowa, and an ACC game. Make sure you call your cable or satellite company for games available on pay-per-view next Saturday right here on ABC. So the Ducks backed up inside their own 10. They'll start with Akili Smith under center at the 8. Herman Ho-Ching looks for room over the left side, finds something up to about the 14-yard line. Ho-Ching, the freshman out of Long Beach, California, playing with that brace and the injured knee.
Well, not only does he have an injured knee, but Lester Towns is playing banged up as well. He's slowed by injuries. He's the captain of this defense. He makes all the calls, and on this play, he missed the tackle. So you got 2 banged up guys going against each other. But watch 17 here. That's Lester Towns. Skates down the inside. He's got him in his view, gets an arm on him, but cannot wrap up. He can't push off the foot like he normally would. He's not 100%. Consequently, Ho-Ching ran away from him.
The AstroTurf doesn't help either. It's cold, and this is a hard turf. They're at Oregon. Quick out. The catch by Damon Griffin, and then he is popped right at the 20-yard line. Torrey Butler hit him at the 20, but they should move the chains. He should have a first down.
Butler had a huge game against BYU. He's a talented guy. His older brother, he's playing on the team as well. But if you look this, it's a quick out, and that's where the separation was. Now when he comes, he closes, and he'll get a good lick on him. You know, he tucks that tail and skies the eyes and tries to separate the ball from him, but it's too late. The completion's been made. They move the chains.
Damon Griffin, the leading receiver, came in with 34 catches. That's his first catch of the afternoon, and he only had 1 last week against Arizona. Had a drop in which he would have had a first down early in this game. Ho-Ching looks for room, dances around, no room to be found.
I said Butler's brother's on the team, and what I meant by that is his brother was shot and killed, and every day on that team, he just imagines his brother's on that team. He plays for his brother every play. He thinks about his brother. He tries to, that's his motivation as he goes through the season.
Second and 10 for Mike Belotti's offense. He has talked about how crucial it is to run the football in the month of November, a month in which he has been very good, 8-1 and 4-0 at home, but this is a team without much of a running game at all. Penalty markers down.
Washington says Oregon moved.
Might have been Jet Weaver, the tight end.
Ball start. Offense. 5-yard penalty.
Rather inauspicious start for the Ducks.
Backed up inside their 10 with a penalty, and after the first down, now they're backed up again. You feel this momentum switching a little bit?
Watch the left side of the line. You can see he moves first, then he moves, and everybody then points. See all the points? Points.
Very fashionable to point. Ho-Ching trying to get outside. Got a block, and he does. Turns the corner. Stiff arms one and knocked out of bounds at the 27-yard line. Has to get to the 32 or just outside of it for a first down, but another strong run, a gain of 11 before being run out of bounds by Wandame Davis.
You have to admit, this is a bonus today for Oregon. They didn't know how much Ho-Ching could play. They didn't know how effective he would be, but he's come in and he's been very, very strong since he first came into the ball game.
Only a freshman gained over 1,400 yards. In fact, almost 1,500 as a senior in high school, and had 26 touchdowns in Long Beach.
You know what's amazing is he's been out since September 19 with that knee injury, and he comes back, he looks in pretty good football shape.
Yes. 3rd and 4. Washington showing blitz. Here they come. Out to Weaver, the tight end. He's got a first down and more. Carrying tackle up to the 43-yard line. 15 yards from Smith to Weaver.
He just ran over Davis, and Davis was hanging onto his leg and being dragged along.
There's Josh Smith, the defensive end, who is down, and it looks like he's holding that right knee. And Jim Lambright's got to be saying, how much of this can we take? For both of these clubs, it's been like a mass unit throughout the year with all the injuries. They tend to Smith. We'll step aside and be right back.
Because there is a man in Chicago planning his
Cirrus, best in class and initial quality by J.D. Power.
I want to show you what happened to Josh Smith. He was injured on that last play. Watch 99 right here. It gets cut underneath, but his foot got caught on the carpet. Did not give away, so the knee gives way. Weakest joint on the strongest limb of the body. They help him off. He's replaced by Ryan Julian.
Under pressure as Smith sets up the screen to Jerry Brown. Breaks one across midfield to the 48 of Washington. And his offense now driving after being backed up with 2 penalties.
And Terry, remember we talked about third down conversion. Neither team was really doing well on third downs. You get a first down play like this, guarantee you're coming back on second and third, you get the first. There's a look at Josh Smith. Still working on his knee and icing it down.
Which I guess is a good sign. They haven't taken him to the locker room to x-ray. To look further.
Yeah, but if they've got ice on it, he's not coming back today.
No. 2nd and 1. You take a shot at something long. They don't have the formation in right now.
Yeah, that's a good call. It's a waste down. You might as well go ahead and see they listen to you and they run it.
A big play, though, with Jerry Brown. First down and much more. Run out of bounds at the 33. But there is a flag on the play. Back near the line of scrimmage, and they are walking in that direction.
Hold it. Offense.
So 3. And work on Jim's microphone there. 3 critical penalties in this drive, slowing up the Ducks.
Yeah, so it's 2nd and 1. Now it becomes 2nd down and 11 or 12.
After a big play from Jerry Brown, a junior who has only carried the ball twice coming into this game. He's had injuries the last couple of years.
Danny Polito goes back out of the ball game. They had 2 tight ends, and Damon Griffin comes back in, so I suspect this time they are going to throw.
Griffin and Hartley wide to the far side. They operate out of the eye with Chris Young as the fullback. There goes Brown right at the line of scrimmage.
We're over 2. I think they're breaking tendencies.
We're doing well, aren't we? Lester Towns, the junior, on the stick.
People saying, who are these idiots?
We have just gotten word that Josh Smith has a sprained knee and will not be back this afternoon. We knew he wouldn't be back, but that's what they believe it is at this point anyway, a sprain. So it's 3rd and 12 for Akili Smith. And now Griffin and Hartley to the near side.
Safe to say he's going to pass?
I think we're okay. We might be 1 out of 3 after this play. Yep. Smith with time. Going up big, double coverage. Oh, catch by Hartley. No. Yes, he held on to it. At the 18, his 5th catch of the afternoon. What a great catch.
Hakeem Akbar is wondering how in the heck that ball got by his hands. They had him bracketed. They had him over the top and underneath. And Akbar puts his hand up, and I don't know how this ball got through. This is a great throw by Smith. Akili Smith, they say, is a great quarterback. Watch this. Look at number 9. His hand is up there, and the ball seemingly goes right through it. Terrific, terrific catch by Tony Hartley. Great concentration.
46 yards on the pass from Smith to Hartley. And Oregon inside the 15 at the 13 now. They're going to run the option. Quick pitch to Brown. Trying to get outside, can't do it. Run out, he may have lost a yard. Torrey Butler with good speed on the corner.
Yeah, and Butler does a good job closing on the run.
Run out by Torrey Butler.
Herman Ho-Ching now in the backfield. As you look at Butler, who's been active and been tested all afternoon.
Terry, what's amazing to me is Ho-Ching's in there. They still only gained 54 yards on the ground. This from an Oregon team that averages 209 yards rushing a game. That's in the nation's top 20.
Yeah, tops in the Pac-10, but of course much of that earlier in the season before their ground game broke apart with injury. Ho-Ching slammed to the turf. Just past the original line of scrimmage, Jabari Issa and Marcus Hairston.
But Terry, give this Husky defense a lot of credit. They are closing on the ball quickly when it is, in fact, a running play. Smith has had most of his success throwing long and getting great catches from Hartley and Haynes and Griffin.
Ohio State being tested by Michigan State. Kansas State winning big again today. Tennessee may roll right into Tempe. Don't count the Seminoles out just yet.
Yeah, don't count the Cavaliers out yet either.
Jerry Brown, the lone setback
of the ACC race anyway.
Yeah, they're tied with Florida State right now. Loads of time for Smith. Now he runs out of it and throws to the end zone, incomplete. He almost completed that.
He almost got another great catch from Damon Griffin, who was on the ground. And the throw by Akili Smith was dangerous, but it's one of those deals where you have a guy that's so talented, he thinks he can make it happen. Now watch this. Here comes Griffin, and he runs right into Burton, number 8. All right, both these guys are grinding. Burton grabs his shirt, has a full hand of number 5. He's still grasping. Now all of a sudden, Griffin goes down. Now here comes the pass.
29-yard field goal attempt by Nathan Villegas. No good. No good. After a drive that started inside Oregon's own 10. 3 penalties throughout the drive. Akili Smith with some big plays, and they come up empty. Mike Bellotti with a rain jacket on now. Not feeling good.
You guys are in here again? I can't believe this. You're always in here.
So it is pouring in Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah, the weather has deteriorated greatly. As a matter of fact, in the distance we were able to see mountains back there, but you can't see that mountain back there, that big hill.
Guys, a moment ago, those are not good seats, by the way, up on top of this stadium. Well, new life for Washington, though. How many times has the momentum swung back and forth in this game? Oregon driving all the way down the field and then missing a 29-yard field goal attempt. So Brock Hewitt and the Huskies take over. There's Dane Looker going in motion to the far side. He sets now behind the line of scrimmage. Willie Hurst, the lone setback. It's Hurst straight up the middle, breaks away from a tackle, has room to get up to the 28-yard line. Positive gain on first down with a running game. Now the show the New York Times calls the best news show of the season by far is Sports Night. And you can see a brand new episode this Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central Time, right after Spin City here on ABC. Gain of 8 on first down. So it brings up 2nd and 2. Stewart directing traffic. And 9 straight completions at one point. Pump fakes going long up the near sideline to Desasure, who has a step. Got it at the 25. He beat Eric Edwards up the near sideline and a perfectly thrown football from Brock Hewitt. 46 yards.
I take Brock Hewitt sold that with a pump fake on the out. And when he did that, Edwards bid on it. Now watch. Here comes Hewitt. 1, 2, 3. Pump fake. Boom. Edwards bites. Then he throws over his head. That pump fake throws Edwards just enough for Desasure to get that step. And the ball was waiting for him. Put a lot of air on it and let Desasure run under it.
You run that play as kids in the playground. A little pump fake and the hesitation. Because most of us don't have sprinter speed of Andre Desasure. Willie Hurst fights his way to the 23-yard line.
You know, Brock Hewitt just looks so much more comfortable and confident here in the second half. He did at the end of the first too, especially on the 2-minute drill, the hurry-up offense. He took him down, and he scored the touchdown. Completed his last 9 passes, as we said at halftime. Now he comes out here in the second half, and he still has that air of confidence about him.
All about rhythm. He seemed to get in that rhythm. And earlier in the game, he had the mix-ups when his wideouts running different routes than he thought they would run. 15 out of 24 for 192 yards for Brock Hewitt.
See what they've done again here?
Washington to take the timeout. We'll take one too. Be back to Eugene. 2nd and 7 for the Huskies when we come back.
Introducing the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee. While it boasts a new vibration-reducing body structure, a quieter, more powerful engine, and an agile suspension for a superior level of refinement and quietness, rest assured, it's still as rugged as ever.
Welcome back, sir.
The all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee, the most capable sport utility ever.
Afraid your next get-together will be a flop? Order Chili's Party Platters. Act now. Call a Chili's representative, and your guests will flip over party-sized servings of buffalo wings, fajitas, baby back ribs, and more. End pre-party stress now. Order Chili's Party Platters new from Chili's.
Need brakes? Come to Midas for a break on brakes. Now just $69.95 after rebate. You'll get our standard brake service and our lifetime guarantee. Midas is $69.95 brakes. It's worth stopping for.
Oh, folks, I've got some news for you. Not that headline stuff, but real news. You can make all your long-distance calls from home up to 20 minutes for only 99 cents. Less than $1. Cheaper than a sack of nuts. And it's just 10 cents for each minute over 20. How? Just dial 1010-220. Even Ed can do it. Just dial 1010-220, then 1 and the number. No fees, no contracts. It's about communicating. Up to 20 minutes of it for only 99 cents.
Brock Hewitt in Washington on the move at the 23-yard line. 2nd and 7. Jamon Willis, the fullback. They offset the eye, and again, Hewitt wants a timeout.
I'm surprised at that one. You do not want to take all your timeouts here before the third period even ends. You're going to want these timeouts down the stretch in a close ball game on the road.
Now, while we have a moment, let's take you back to 1994 as Solomon Smith Barney remembers these two teams hooking up right here in Eugene. The defining moment of this rivalry in the 90s, 24-20. Damon Hewitt down by 4 points trying to win the game, but it is Kenny Wheaton in a play that Oregon Duck fans will remember for a long, long time. 97 yards to the end zone. It was the year that Oregon went to the Rose Bowl. And the only good thing about this day was that Damon's brother Brock watched this celebration from his living room. It left a bad taste in his mouth. He committed to Washington right then and there and always wanted to come back here and beat the Ducks. And to this day, Tim, he still feels that way and expresses it.
Well, here we are again. You've got the two Northwest rivals meeting again in this border war. And Hewitt's got him on the drive.
2nd and 7, but after the 2 timeouts. They fake the pitch, Hewitt to throw. Over the middle and through the hands, Gerald Harris. There was contact, and I don't see a flag.
I can't believe there's not a flag. I'm up here in the booth throwing a flag. It definitely looked like there was contact before the ball got there. Now, was the ball catchable? Take another look. Now, he's going to break back to the inside. He's working on Bowman 17. I'll see if Bowman doesn't get on him. He's on him right there before the ball comes and actually turns him around. Can't believe there was not a flag thrown.
Yeah, and we've seen it all afternoon, too. There's been a lot of contact, a lot of pushing and shoving and grabbing. Saw it a moment ago in the Washington end zone. Joe Jarzinka now in the game. He's in the slot. 5 receivers on 3rd and 7. Quick drop, going to throw it to the end zone. Harris one-on-one, can't make the catch. And it's Bowman that he was testing again.
I'm going to say he should have made the catch. That ball was perfectly thrown. And even though Harris was covered, it would have been a great catch. It went right through his hands. This is what they call a timing pattern. It's a fade, but it's a long fade. And Hewitt threw immediately. They came with the blitz, and he throws a perfect pass. Now watch Harris go up, and it's in his hands. That ball has to be caught to win a game like this on the road.
Little Joe Jarzinka on as Washington looks to try a 40-yard field goal, but the Ducks have called timeout.
This is Hewitt at the end of that pass. He knows he threw a strike. He knows Harris got his hands on it. And now Hewitt says, are you kidding me? Now Oregon comes with a, he's sitting there talking to Fletcher saying, I can't believe he dropped that ball.
Fletcher saying, yeah, I know. You put it right in his hands. It's hard for Brock Hewitt not to get frustrated. And not that he doesn't make his own mistakes, but so often through this year, he's had miscommunication with his receivers, drop balls, and it's a young team and trying to carry this team by himself.
And we said this at the top of the show. He is such a competitor.
Yeah.
He does get frustrated. He really does not like mediocrity. And right now, Washington has been playing right there at that level, especially last weekend.
So 5:52 left in the 3rd while we have a moment. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Jeep, makers of the Jeep Grand Cherokee, Cherokee, and Wrangler. Chili's, a proud sponsor of ABC College Football. Bud Light, with a great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down. Make it a Bud Light. Jarzinka on just outside the 40-yard line, as long as it's a 35-yarder. Jim Lamright does not feel comfortable with Jarzinka kicking from this far. Plenty of leg, and it is good.
He is such a great story. A walk-on. Sold him on the fact that he could play. He's what they call a preferred walk-on because he had some great numbers in high school. But then he came and he says, hey, look, Coach, our kicking game is struggling. I want a shot. I can correct it. He started kicking, and I'm telling you, he has done it. Outstanding young guy.
5'7", 175 pounds.
Came into this game 3 of 5 from the field goal position, and he nails that one.
And a reminder, ABC Sports presentation to college football. Also brought to you by 1010-220. Dial it, and your long-distance calls cost under $1.
That field goal was huge, too, because now it puts him down by 2. Knowing a field goal could decide it at this stage. But I suspect we're going to see a lot more scoring yet to come.
So Cooper and Fletcher back deep. Jim Skursky, the redshirt freshman out of Seattle. Justice Sure being worked on the sideline. Can't afford to lose him. 17-15. A short pooch kick again. Here comes Cooper. Fielded by one of the up men, though. Blazing speed, bringing it back out to the 34-yard line is Caleb Smith. And let's go once again to our New York studios and check in with John Saunders.
Terry, the Burger King play of the day involves the #1 team in the nation, Ohio State. Work back to pass. Damon Moore steps in front of it, and from there it's just a coast to the end zone easily. A little showtime, got him a little penalty added onto this, but the extra point is still good. 24-9, the Buckeyes lead. Florida State in a battle with Virginia. Chris Wenke, the starting quarterback for the Seminoles, knocked out of the game with a concussion and a shoulder injury.
John, not good news at all for the Seminoles. Wenke on fire the last 5 weeks or so. Akili Smith has been that way all season long, and again he goes to his tight end. Jed Weaver inside the 30 to the 34-yard line, all the way down there on first down.
It's another one of those what happened, how to get by me.
33 yards.
I mean, the ball was well thrown. But watch this. Todd Johnson's got good position on him and goes up to make the pick. It's just a little bit too high for him, and there's your tight end. And Weaver just tucks it away, moves the chains, and they put the ball all the way down at the 36.
Third catch of the day for Weaver. They'll use their tight end a lot. How about the arm of Akili Smith, though?
It's alive. Oh. I mean, he really puts that ball on a rope.
He throws that out as well as anyone. First down at the 36, play action. Smith slipped, has plenty of time, and through the hands of his fullback, Chris Young, who was open in the flat.
Both quarterbacks have had a lot of time to throw.
Now, for the first time, though, I think maybe we're seeing the effects of the weather. The steady rain, and it's gotten harder.
It is starting to come down hard now, but again, he had plenty of time, and that ball was right there where it should have been caught.
That's a beautiful area here around Eugene. Can't see the mountains and the hills right now, though. 44 degrees. Feels a lot chillier than that.
Bet the river on the other side of the hill still flowing north.
The Willamette? One of how many rivers in the world?
Well, the Nile flows north, flows north.
Yeah.
St. John does. The Monongahela does.
Right in Pittsburgh.
And the Willamette.
Play action. Oh, he drilled it right into Donald Haynes. What a throw. Between defenders and down to the 16.
You know what we ought to do? We ought to run that replay and then freeze it just before the ball gets to it, because there are 3 white jerseys all the way around him, and Smith just put it right in there. Throws a strike. It was Hairston and Akbar. Burton was there. Just perfectly thrown.
21 yards. He's got the DBs talking to themselves.
But, I mean, look at this. I mean, you've got white jerseys right there. 3 guys surrounded him, and the ball is a strike. Perfect.
Right between the 1 and the 0, and Haynes fights near the 15, so it's first down. Akili Smith running the option. Back to Herman. Ho-Ching turns the corner and knocked out by Wandame Davis. But it's inside the 10 all the way down to the 8-yard line.
And now it's a game of wills. You've got the green jersey guys excited because Oregon knows we're down in the red zone where we dominate, where we've had all that great success, where we know we can score. Then you've got the guys on the other side, the Huskies, and they're backed up against us. Now they're saying, hey, look, guys, we've got to rally. It's second and short, but we've got to make a stop here. We make a stop, we can win this game. It's a battle of wills right now.
They've played some legendary games, including that 94 game right here when Kenny Wheaton intercepted the pass, and this one turning into one of those. Second and 2. Ho-Ching bounces away from 1. Close to a first down. Had to get right outside the 5. Lester Towns. But Towns with a foot injury, but doesn't slow him much.
He's not going to get the first. Look at the battle up front. You tell me who wins. Go ahead and roll and watch the white jerseys. They're not giving ground. As a matter of fact, they're attacking. Now, it looks like they got a hole. Stop it. Had he gone to the right, he had the hole. He had the block here. Instead, he comes in where the linebackers are, and they make the stop.
Ho-Ching getting a rest as you look at Lester Towns. Jerry Brown now in at tailback. Behind Young, the fullback, who throws a block. ground, wrapped up by a number of white jerseys behind the line of scrimmage. Couldn't turn the corner. Terry Butler and Hakeem Akbar teamed up on it.
We set the stage. We set it as a game of wills now, and the defense wins. 2 big stops. They're going to force Oregon to kick the field goal. Boy, first of all, they get the pressure up front. They get the penetration. They force it to go wide. They string it out, then the secondary fills. That is a big-time defensive play. And again, there's Torrey Butler right there leading the attack on the corner.
Now, Nathan Villegas just missed the 29-yarder. They place this down at the 19 and blow it dead.
Now there's a flag down, T.
Yep, they blow it dead.
Penalty flag on the field.
It's like the line judge was the one who threw it, Fred Gallagher.
No play. Start.
And moves them back further. I'm telling you, this is a great defensive stand by Washington. And Oregon's just helping them.
Really 2 in a row from Jim Lambright's club. The long drive by the Ducks, the last series, the last drive, and they forced the miss by Villegas. Now it's a 34-yard field goal. Villegas off to the right. No good.
And it makes that defensive stand look even bigger. They get all the way down inside the 10, and they come away with 0.
17-15. We got a game in Eugene, folks. Let's step away. Be back after this message from the NCAA.
It would have been easy to have been a football player and not a...
Villegas now. See if he doesn't stutter step. Look at the timing's off. He starts and then stops and then comes through and doesn't follow through like a golfer. Just kind of blocked it out to the right.
Looked like my 9-iron. You're absolutely right. Got to get the body through. Right, 2nd and 7, a gain of 3 on that first play. Hurst hit behind the line of scrimmage. Won't get anywhere. Garrett Sable, number 35, the first time we've called his name this afternoon. Sophomore out of Winter Park, California. Brings up 3rd and 6.
You look back over this series, and it really has been dominated over the 92 years by Washington until the last 4 years. And I'm telling you, folks, Eugene is alive knowing Oregon can not only compete, but comes in the game favored against Washington. And these are 2 teams that don't like each other.
Oregon showing blitz, they step back. They're going to whistle it dead, a penalty marker behind the line of scrimmage.
I believe that's going to be holding against Washington.
No, they threw it early, Tim.
I only say that because I'm watching Cadlitz walk away, and he's upset.
Dead ball, no play. False start. Offense.
That's why they threw it early. I don't know why Cadlitz was so upset unless he's the guy that moved.
Might have been Willie Hurst, top right of your screen, behind the line.
There he is. See if he moves. Yep, there he is. And look, here's Cadlitz here. And then he's the guy that went up to the official and started yelling at him.
Well, Big Ben couldn't even see Willie back there, so I'm not sure what he was yelling about. 3rd down play coming up for Hewitt under center as they offset Hurst to the near side this time. Here comes Dane Looker in motion. Pocket collapsing around Hewitt, and down he goes for the first time. The first sack of the afternoon. Saul Patu.
All day they've given him protection. All day they've kept the green jerseys off of him. But when it counted the most, the Ducks went back to gang green and made the hit. He looks, there's nothing there, and it causes him to just hesitate that extra split second. And when he starts to pull out of the pocket, they get him from behind.
Patu beat Dalen, but Hewitt had a lot of time initially. That's high snap. Fleming gets it away, and it's a pretty good kick. Fletcher coming back and going in the wrong direction. Wrapped up, brought down at the 40, maybe the 39. 39-yard punt after it was almost blocked and a loss of 4.
So with a sack and then the punt, and Oregon will have good field position. And you're right, Hewitt did have time on that. Yeah. It was a coverage sack. Everybody was covered, and when he went to pull out, it gave him enough time to get to him. but they're going to have good field position here.
They'll call it outside the 40 at the 41-yard line. Now, Mike Bellotti and Jim Lambright are not the best of friends. There is plenty of respect there, but there were words after last year's contest, the Washington staff saying that maybe Mike Bellotti coaches hatred against Washington. These two teams don't exactly hang out in the offseason together. Herman Ho-Ching wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage, and it was Marcus Harrison, a linebacker, who got there first. For the final seconds of the third quarter, ticking off the clock. And a 2-point lead for Oregon, 17-15, but they were stopped and missed 2 field goals here in the third, and they thought they'd get more. We're back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
We come here on a glorious quest to search for that which can be found nowhere else. Where, in the trenches where mighty men clash, amidst the echoes of glories past, high atop Olympus.
How would you feel? Have you been listening?
This is ABC Sports, home of the Bowl Championship Series.
First play of the fourth quarter, Akili Smith back to pass. Has room to run. Chased out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Jabari Issa had him on the run. Terry Gannon-Timp ran a good one here in Eugene, Oregon at Autzen Stadium. Opening moments of the fourth quarter. Oregon has had opportunity after opportunity in the second half. They have not been able to capitalize. It was a 17-12 game at halftime, and Brock Huard has gotten hot. He had 9 in a row to end the first half and has been effective in the second.
Third down 5.
Mike Bellotti's club 3 of 10 on third down today. Smith looks back, quick slant. Got his favorite receiver, Damon Griffin, but he's not going to get near the first down. Mac Tuiaea, number 78, helped out.
Again, it's the flanker screen. The thing about Smith, he's so accurate, so mobile, gets it out there in a hurry. But the white jerseys are flying around to the football right now. Defensively, Washington is playing extremely well. Now they fly out. Here comes the screen. Come back underneath. Hopefully there's some blockers in front, but there aren't. The white jerseys have already defeated them. Linebackers come flying over. There's Tuiaea, number 78. He makes the tackle. They stop the play.
Solid tackle on a defensive tackle, Tuiaea. Jarzinka back outside his own 10. Bidwell, who has boomed them today, had a 69-yarder early in the game. Whoa. Jarzinka is hit before he can catch it. Here come the flags. Can't do that, folks.
You know, the thing about Jarzinka is he will never call a fair catch. But at least you've got to give him the opportunity. That was unbelievable. I mean, the defender gets there before the ball.
Gary Barker, the man who hit him.
Barker was flying down there so fast, he was hoping that he would time it. He knew Jarzinka was not going to call the fair catch. He was just hoping the ball would get down in a hurry.
So they'll gain the yardage. Little Joe pays for it, though.
Interference with the opportunity to catch a kick. 15 yards out of the foul. First down.
I guarantee you Joe still won't call for a fair catch later on in this game.
He's smiling. He got the penalty. He's happy.
Concern is to make sure you're okay.
Fourth drive coming up for Jim Lambright's club, starting at their own 30-yard line, and it starts with Brock Huard on the sideline. Marcus Tuiasosopo in at quarterback now.
And he leads the Huskies in rushing. Tuiasosopo does. 307 yards.
Braxton Clement, the freshman, in at tailback. They're going to run the option. Looked like he wanted Clement, but nowhere to run. Couldn't pitch it, couldn't run himself. Wrapped up by Dietrich Moore, number 29, and with a lot of help from Justin Wilcox.
Tuiasosopo was the most productive freshman in school history, now a dangerous sophomore.
Look at some scores. Ohio State leading Michigan State. Tennessee winning again today. Kansas State as well. Florida big over Mark Loomis's Vanderbilt team. Our producer Not happy in the truck.
Florida State extends its lead over Virginia with Wanke out with an injury.
Yeah, and the big one, Michigan, with a win today over Penn State, and they smacked them. Penn State looking for revenge, didn't get it. Quick throw, and underthrown. Dane Looker came back, did not make the catch. It was tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Looked like they came with a little bit of a blitz. Dedrick Moore got a hand on it. Watch 29, type of your screen. There he is in front of Heward. He leaps, and his left hand touches the ball. That causes a problem, and Looker never really had a shot.
So it's 3rd and 10, and Tuiasa Soko still in the game. Washington 2 of 10 on 3rd downs today. Neither team doing very well. Out of the shotgun. 5 receivers. Throw it back to Harris. Pop right at the line. Hit by Bowman. That has been a one-on-one confrontation all day long.
You know, the coaches yesterday here at Oregon said, watch Bowman because he makes some mistakes, but he makes some spectacular plays. This is a spectacular play. He reads it right away and starts in a full-out sprint, and I mean, just lays the lick on him and says, that's right, that's me, we stopped it.
Bowman and Harris have been locked up throughout the day. They've been talking to each other through the day. Contact on every pass play. Fleming's punt, a line drive kick. Michael Fletcher at the 30. Hit hard up to the 37-yard line. Fleming with a 40-yard punt and 8-yard return. So it's now turn of the Ducks. They get a chance.
May I help you?
If I wanted a Whopper, no pickles, that would...
The Ducks like it in the rain. It's been raining all day long today, and they lead 17-15 over Washington and take over at their own 37. Don't forget, at the conclusion of today's game, we will select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the Game for each team. In recognition of these athletes, Chevrolet will make a contribution to each school's general scholarship fund. Akili Smith taking over. They split the backs in the backfield. Straight drop. And he throws it behind Jerry Brown, the tailback, who had come out. Could have caught the ball, though. That ball was catchable.
Well, and should have been caught. And as soon as you said straight drop is about the time it hit him, and he dropped it. I mean, it was like he was listening to you. The ball was a little bit behind him, but he still got to make that catch. What he did is he let it get it too close to his body. It got in against his chest plate and bounced off.
The only 2 Pac-10 teams with winning records each of the last 4 years. The numbers on Akili Smith in the first and second half. Very good. Oh, the long drives were stalled.
Here's your guy up there. That's Hartley. That's where he's looking.
Under pressure is Smith. Throws it out there. He's got Hartley. Makes a move. Now breaks to the outside. It's a foot race. Out of bounds. Just outside the 20-yard line. Wandame Davis caught up with him.
Tony Hartley's his go-to guy. Came into the game with 32 catches. He had 6 last week. Every time he gets in a tight fit situation, that's where he's going. He's going to number 2. Gives him a little stutter step. Watch this. All right, now he comes back to meet the ball. Once he does that, now he knows he's got leverage, and the defender has already run by him. So now he just wants to beat the pursuit that's coming from Akbar. Big gain down inside the 25, and Oregon once again on the move.
40-yard gain, 6th catch of the afternoon for Tony Hartley. Impressive numbers. Play action. Time again for Akili. Hartley, end zone, touchdown.
Bingo.
How easy did that look? 2 plays to number 2.
And Hartley is just ripping the heart out of Washington right now. Just made it look too easy, and Smith put it there both times. Now they move him to the other side. He finds her in a cover 2. They give him up to the safety. He runs by the corner, runs back in front of the safety, Akbar. Nobody picks him up. The ball's waiting for him when he gets to the end zone.
3-play drive. The drop by Jerry Brown out of the backfield. 40 yards to Hartley. Now the touchdown pass to Hartley. Villegas splits the upright. And just when you thought Washington again was feeling good about themselves and had some spirit, some life, some momentum, the Ducks come back with a quick strike. And that is what Akili Smith can do to you. And when you've got Damon Griffin and Tony Hartley at the wideout spots, they're awfully dangerous. Right does. He went with Marcus Tuiasosopo on the last drive, and you got to think that he'll come back with Brock Huard now.
Remember now, Huard was on that 9 straight completion run. Then in this half, he's 2 for 5.
Torrey Butler at his 7th. Wanted to bring it back this way. Cut back to the outside. Brought to the turf at the 15. And not gently by Garrett Sable.
Here's the touchdown again from Tony Hartley. First of all, Smith looks and shows a great deal of patience, waits for him to get by the cornerback and then in front of the safety, and he puts the ball right there, perfectly thrown.
So it's Brock Huard's turn now. He comes on. The last series run by Tuiasosopo, and it wasn't very effective.
Well, I think part of that is because I think he might have hurt his arm. If you look at his right arm, his non-throwing arm, it looks like he scraped it and it was bleeding. They came out and attended to that while Tuiasosopo came in.
3 receivers set. Going to give it to the tailback, Clemens. Across the 20 to the 22. And don't forget, Sunday Night Live at 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. Trent Dilfer, the Bucks, Mike Allstott, they host the Tennessee Oilers on ESPN. Then Monday Night Football here on ABC beginning at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Brett Favre and the Packers take on the Steelers for the first time ever on Monday night. Second down and 7.
See the blood around that right elbow? That's his non-throwing arm, but that's what they were tending to when he was on the sideline.
Long count for Huard. Scrambles, steps up, and goes down at the 24-yard line. They had a sack earlier in the game. He may have gotten ahead of the line of scrimmage, but that pocket just collapsed around Brock Huard.
Told you how tough this guy is. Last week he had 4 stitches put in his chin. Look at the blood coming off his right elbow. Now that's what they were tending to when Tuiasosopo was in the ball game. He's still wearing the Band-Aids under his chin strap where he took the 4 stitches last week's game. He is one tough son of a gun, but they're asking him to come through in the clutch here because they need some big plays.
Missed a couple of games with the separated shoulder, and that's the kind of injury, that elbow, that you get on this turf. Four receivers. Clemens, the only man in the backfield, staying in the block. Huard looking for Harris. Just overthrew. He was double covered. Edwards and McLemore step for step, and let's check in right now with John Saunders again.
Terry, Cedric Irvin of Michigan State has given the Spartans the lead. A drive that covered 8 plays, 90 yards. The Buckeyes trail in the second half. About 14 minutes to go. Terry.
John, I thought the Michigan score was a shock. How about the Buckeyes and what that would do to the BCS? With Tennessee and UCLA and Kansas State right there, the top 4 teams, their chances. Florida State, Florida right after that. Michael Fletcher at the 35. Loses at least 3 or 4. Couldn't turn the corner. Well, ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Chevy S10, Like a Rock, Nasonex, Dr. Pepper, and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, this is the taste. And Solomon Smith Barney. Let's get to work. Success is earned.
Michigan State 18.
What a wacky college football season, huh? With Michigan State to hold on against Ohio State. Got a good one going on here, though, in the 4th. Akili Smith stepping up, looking, throws. He's got Hartley wide open over the middle to the 36-yard line. Tony Hartley with a huge day. His 8th catch, that one for 30 yards.
Washington went soft on him. He scored when they were in a 2 deep zones. Here again, they're in a zone, and he finds the open spot, the soft spot of that. But what makes this play special is the way Akili Smith shows patience and just waits for him to clear. Now watch. Wait, wait, wait. There he is in front of the safety. Wait. Now let him have it. Boom. He finds the open area in front of the safeties. And Davis finally makes the tackle. But that's a nice play by Smith. And Hartley's on fire.
That's who he's looking for again. He's got Tony Hartley inside the 18. Another catch. Amari Lowe stopped him, but not before Hartley could catch his 9th pass of the afternoon.
Yeah, and Hartley comes up and knows. He knows right now. They're giving him soft areas. He's finding them, and his quarterback wants to throw to him. This is one of those deals now where Hartley comes out to get a breather. But you really want to stay in the ball game because you say, hey, I'm a little bit hot. I'm finding the areas. He's throwing to me, and we're down at the 20. I can get another touchdown here.
It's like that old Caddyshack line. You don't think the hard stuff's coming down for quite some time yet.
He came into the game with 5 touchdowns.
You don't want to rest now. Herman Ho-Ching tripped up initially, fights his way to the line of scrimmage before Marcus Hairston stopped him.
All right, now it's time. You got to say, hey, coach, come on, I got to go back in the ball game now. See, I've got 9 receptions, coach. I'm averaging 27. I've got 2 touchdowns. Put me back in.
Career highs.
And you've got to believe Smith will be looking for him on 2nd and 9.
This is a heck of a duo. Hartley along with Griffin. Griffin the last 2 weeks has been quiet, but at least today they haven't needed him. Here comes the blitz. Smith throws, wrapped up. Is there going to be a flag? Don't see one.
Boy, he was looking Hartley's way, too. But he had a white jersey right in his face and just never had a chance.
Todd Johnson brought the pressure. The former walk-on.
2nd sack of the day. They haven't gotten to Smith very often, but they broke some tendencies that time. And Johnson came on a little bit of a stunt, played a game up there, came hard, and got to Smith.
Well, they got rid of it that time. So an incomplete pass, actually. But it's 3rd and almost 16, and they're going to burn a timeout right here. Akili Smith going over to talk it over on the sideline. 7:56 left. Oregon in the lead.
Will you ever own a personal satellite? Will you ever say, fill her up with hydrogen? Are microfibers just a trend? One thing's for sure, opportunities abound. And every day we look at them through a microscope.
Highlights and live polls at ESPN.com and on America Online.
24-15, still a game, but Oregon continues to drive. Washington has not been able to stop them as of late. To the end zone for Hartley, double covered, no chance. Smith with his back on the turf.
Omar Lowe is the guy that was covering him. The cornerback was covering Hartley that time. It was Davis who had him on the long pass. They took Davis out. They tried Lowe, and Lowe's got pretty good coverage. Now, he knows he's got help from the safety, so here comes Burton, number 8, over to help. Now they've got him high-low. A lot of bumping and grinding, and the ball was overthrown. But they tried Davis. Davis couldn't do it. They put Lowe in. He did a nice job.
Villegas from 42 yards. Just over the crossbar. He didn't get it by much, but that's all that counts. Nathan Villegas, the junior from Corona, California, makes it a 12-point game. And so you've got 7:44 left, and Washington now has got to go for the 2 touchdowns. Most of you out here on the West Coast, coming up next right here on ABC Sports, the showdown in the WAC. San Diego State tied for 1st in the Pacific Division, hosting Fresno State. Coach Ted Tollner leading the Aztecs against the Bulldogs. Next right here on ABC. And obviously we'll continue to update you on the scores from around the country, especially that Ohio State game.
In this game here, Terry, time down becomes a factor with 7:44 to go. And you just pointed out the fact that Washington needs 2 touchdowns now. So they've got to play this emergency.
Another pooch kick. Here comes Terry Butler. And they'll have pretty good field position out near the 33-yard line to start from.
So now the onus stops and starts right there with your quarterback, and that's Brock Hewitt. He knows now this game rests on his throwing arm. He's got 7.5 minutes to work, and he needs 2 touchdowns. He's got to start working the sidelines, using the clock, managing the clock, while he gets his first downs and moves the chains.
They place it down on the 33. The Ducks back off, no blitz this time. Under the middle, Dane Looker. And a first down at the 49. So they throw underneath to Looker. Another catch for him. He's got 8. Had a big first half. Look what's going on around the country. The shocker, of course, the Spartans with the lead over Ohio State. Tennessee big over UAB, and Florida State now big over Virginia, but they have lost Chris Weinke, at least temporarily, with an injury. Hewitt had time initially, not anymore. He goes down. One of the rare sacks of the afternoon. Anthony Martin and Laia Sualua.
Hewitt gets him back up in a hurry. Watch this. He's looking left. He wanted to pump fake and send him deep, and by that hesitation, gave the defense time to get to him. No huddle now.
Only second down now. Throws out to Looker and threw that one away. He had him out there, but he was just trying to get rid of it. Sualua again, right in the face of Hewitt.
I think Hewitt might be rushing a little bit too much. You need a sense of urgency. You certainly have to manage the clock, but there's so much time left, just under 7 minutes, that you don't have to totally rush and get out of your rhythm. Now he's faced with a 3rd and 12.
Are you in the 4-down time zone right now, though?
I think you are because of the clock. Although I'm sure Jim Lambert, probably the way his defense has been playing, will give him one more shot. He'll probably punt if they don't get it here.
Oregon showing blitz. They back off. Hewitt up top, far sideline. Desasure, and there is contact, but that was not a catchable ball. Eric Edwards was the man who was one-on-one with Andre Desasure.
Well, I can't remember a game where there was so much contact between the secondary and the receivers. I mean, they are really forcefully hitting each other. I don't know if this ball was catchable or not, because he never really is able to run freely. They're all over him. They're bugging him. And no flags.
Edwards had him with his left arm, and then the safety came over and just popped him before the ball got there. And they are going to go on 4th and 12. Jim Lambright feels that the time is running out. Need to get to the 40. Through the hands of Desasure.
And now you can start to feel the game slipping away from Washington. And Oregon is now starting to step up and claim it. Oregon hadn't backed down from anything all day. This is a solid club, and Mike Bellotti had them ready to play.
Representatives from the Sun Bowl here, the Holiday Bowl. These two have been mentioned for the bowls in Hawaii. Don't forget the Thrifty Car Rental post-game report will come up following this game, time permitting. Not a happy man. It's Chris Young and Herman Ho-Ching as the ball is on the turf, and Akili Smith gets it back.
Terry, you mentioned what's at stake, and you're right. We were talking to the Sun Bowl folks, and the Holiday people were up here, and they were, you know, handing out paraphernalia for their bowl. And of course, there's the Aloha, which we talked to Jim David about, and the Melikaliki Marker Bowl. I mean, there's a lot at stake for these guys.
Merry Christmas. Yeah, there is. I mean, both clubs with 2 losses in the league can ill afford to lose another one. Look at the numbers on Akili Smith. Career high 442 yards.
I tell you, he's made a believer of me. He is a top-ranked player. 7th in the nation in passing, over 2,000 yards, 19 touchdowns coming into the game, and he's just lit him up.
Ho-Ching looks for room as the Ducks want to keep it on the ground and burn the clock now, but can't get back to the original line of scrimmage.
Stop for no gain.
Smith with great size, got the arm. Now you look at the quarterbacks in the Pac-10, and besides Heward, the other guy obviously who comes to mind and maybe an MVP in the Pac-10 this year is Cade McNown. And the thing that McNown has done, while he hasn't put up the numbers that Smith has, he just keeps winning.
Well, 17 wins in a row is pretty big. Now, he's not putting up the numbers he had last year where he had 24 touchdowns, but he has thrown 16. He's run for 2, and he's over 1,800 yards passing.
3rd and 11. They can't keep it on the ground this time. Smith looking for Griffin this time. Good coverage. Burton was back there, and so was Amari Lowe. So you've got just under 5 minutes now.
Again, they were bracketing. They had the corner and the safety helping out in the coverage. You see Burton, number 8, underneath, and then you got Lowe up top. So they're high-lowing him. Ball was almost picked. Good coverage, and that means Oregon has to punt. So with 4:55 left, there's still plenty of time now for Washington.
Well, and what you need is a big return from Little Joe. Brought one back 91 yards to the end zone against Cal. Tough to bring back Bigwell's punts. Oh my, look at that. Inside the 5.
Now we're down at the 1-yard line.
The 1-yard line. And not only that, it was a 48-yard punt.
You know, Bidwell is 12th in the United States in punting. He's got a 44-yard average. And all day, when Oregon had to come up with a big play, they'd come up with a big play. And Josh Bidwell, number 40, gives him a heck of a play here by putting the ball in the 1.
Doesn't have a 44-yard average anymore. Today's punts have been 69 and 50 and 48.
Which means he'll move up in the national rankings from 12th into that top 10 easily.
All Brock Heward has to do is go 99 yards and then do it all over again to win the game. They run straight ahead to try to get some room.
But not much.
Not a whole lot. Braxton Clement out to the 3, maybe. I think probably at the 2.
See, backed up like that, time is a factor, so you can't worry about the safety here. You have to just go ahead and start throwing even out of your own end zone.
Line's got to give him time right here.
Well, they have for most of the day.
Yep. He has it. He's got room to run if Brock wants to. He's going to throw instead. Nice catch by Dane Wilker.
He was over the line of scrimmage, though.
They'll bring it back. How many breaks can go against you, says Brock Heward. He had a good 20 yards to run if he wanted to take it.
Well, the line of scrimmage was just about at the 2. Now watch, as he comes across the goal line, he's up to the 3-yard line, so he's across by about a yard. And now the air is just starting to leave the bubble quickly. See, now that's a loss of down. It's 3rd down.
3rd and 9 at the 2-yard line, just inside the 2.
And if you don't get it here, you do have to punt.
Juergens one-on-one contact, flag caught across midfield. Chris Juergens still up to the 32-yard line. How about that play? The flag as he made the catch, 66 yards from the 2-yard line. And Hewitt can't throw it any better.
Well, what he does so well is he just puts it up there high and lets him run under it. That ball is perfectly thrown, and immediately Brock Hewitt says, all right, pass interference, we're declining the penalty. But that ball was nice. Chris Jurgens made the nice catch. He came under it, made a big run after the catch, and they're all the way down to the 32.
They will not die and won't go away.
Well, and that's why this kid, Brock Hewitt's so special. He just never stops competing. Well, Damon Hewitt starred at Washington for 3 years, and now it's Brock. I mean, it's become a family tradition. It's like a rite of passage with a capital P-A-S-S.
From the 32-yard line. Quick drop, quick throw. Jurgens with a catch again down to the 23-yard line. Now let's see what's going on with John Saunders in New York once again. John?
Terry, more importantly, what's going on with the Ohio State Buckeyes? They've given up 15 points in the second half all year, 19 today. Joe Germain gets sacked by Julian Peterson. Josh Shaw with a recovery. It sets up a field goal, 28.
John, thank you. Braxton into the line here for just a couple.
But enough for the first down, which moves the chains and stops the clock with 2:46.
So, besides what's going on here, the BCS starting to heat up with Ohio State being challenged and then some, and maybe going down. Hewitt on first down to Looker, who is just hit and level outside the 15. Brandon McLemore and Tamani Joyner. I think it was Joyner who hit him the hardest.
But he holds on to the ball. More importantly, the clock continues to run. Hewitt's trying to get him up to the line. He's got to do a clock play or actually make a call a play here and get it going.
Not going to down it. He's going to run a play. Looks one way, throws the other. Desasure well outside the end zone. And 2:14 left. It'll bring up third.
Well, he took a shot in the end zone. Now he's got to be thinking about first down. He's got to get the first down. He's down in the 4-down area, so he's got 2 plays to get it.
Four receivers and Clement in the backfield. The numbers on Hewitt. Ducks looked like they were coming. They backed off. Hits Looker right in the helmet. Looker failed to look back.
That is unbelievable. It hit him in the face mask, I think. Almost between the eyes. The point of that ball will have an X on his forehead. Watch this. As soon as he makes that break, the ball is there and hits him right in the forehead.
You know, think back to when they were in high school. If that ever happened.
Well, you think ahead. They have 1 play left in this ball game. If they don't get the first, this is it.
4th and 5. With time, Hewitt over the middle. Jurgens got held up, and it's incomplete.
And I think that wraps it up for Oregon.
The offenses came in with all the hype, with all the pub, explosive offenses, quarterbacks, and they've done their job, but the defenses really have come up with big plays.
It almost looked like Jurgens stopped his route. Hewitt was thrown where he thought he was going to get to and led him, and Jurgens just kind of pulled up.
Mike Bellotti not ready to celebrate yet, but there's 2:04 left, and he probably could, because that may have done it. Unless you see a mistake here by Akili Smith or a turnover. Ho-Ching, don't want to do that at all. Inside it's 5. That's 3 balls on the ground, and the Huskies have it.
Oh my.
believe that. And Mike Bellotti saying, yep, that's what a freshman does, but we didn't want him to do it right now. Herman Ho-Ching running the other way and dancing around with the football out there.
Well, hold on, folks, with 1:54 left. There's new life for Washington. But look at this. He's trying to make something happen, but he's going backwards. He doesn't have a good grip on the ball. He's losing it. The tackle's made. The ball's loose. And Washington comes up with it. That play is huge.
For Bellotti and the Duck fans, a flashback to the UCLA game when they put it on the turf all day long.
And kudos to Burton, the guy who was alert enough to recover the fumble.
So first and goal, and Marcus Tuiasosopo in now for Brock Hewitt.
Play clock's down to 5. He's got to hurry.
Wanted to hand it off, couldn't do it. Tuiasosopo scrambles. He got to the end zone. Looks like a busted play, and Marcus makes a touchdown out of it.
What a competitor he is. You know what? Tuiasosopo makes something happen every time he comes into a ball game. And you know he loves to run it, so if you're the defense, you've got to be watching him. But he gets hit at the 1 and still struggles ahead and throws the ball out to break the plane.
Garzinka on for the extra point. Straight on through, and guess what? We got a ball game. We shouldn't have, but we got a ball game right now. 5-point game, 1:47 left. Don't go anywhere.
At BASF, we don't make the
whole they treat us as a neighbor, as a friend.
To the onside kick, and everybody's bunched up tight. 27-22 with time left, but they also are great at pooching it. What you want to do is pooch it to this area right here and have your sprinters just try to, because after it goes 10 yards, it's anybody's football.
Put it up in the air and let your Desassures, your DeWarn Hooker go after it. Jim Skursky, a 5-point game, 1:47 after the turnover by Herman Ho-Ching and the Ducks inside their own 5. That was Jason Cooper. He's back at his own 16. Onside, it's still loose. Still loose. The Ducks came up with it initially, and they have it. The ball was loose for at least 20 yards, but Oregon has got it at the 46.
And I think 3 guys touched it.
Yeah.
Washington certainly had its chances.
Now there's 1:42 left, and Oregon will have the ball. And one of the things that really hurts Washington is that they burned 2 timeouts in the 3rd quarter.
Boy, he came to the ball like he was going to pooch it, and then all of a sudden, look, he just kind of squibs it there. Now watch. The ball's loose. There's 1, 2, 3 guys have it. 3 white jerseys had it before it was finally recovered by Oregon.
Herman Ho-Ching, who fumbled inside the 5, and it led to the touchdown.
Now you still have 1:42 left in the ball game, but keep in mind, Hewitt burned 2 timeouts early in this half.
Right.
He only has 1 left.
You gotta like what Mike Bellotti has done with his freshmen, though. He brought Ho-Ching right back in after the mistake. I'm sure he had a few words with him on the sideline.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go right back to him and they do.
Scrambles ahead, holds on to the football this time, and may have a first down at the 43-yard line. And a pat on the back from Damon Griffin, the senior. And all right, you made the mistake, but you came back and ran straight up the middle with power. Gotta like that.
You know, you wonder if he says, all right, Akili, you take it. Just throw some high percentage passes because the running game's not there. We might be able to burn the clock. No, they shouldn't. He comes back, gives it to Ho-Ching. Ho-Ching's a pretty good ball carrier. Doesn't let the fumble bother him. They come back and melt the clock.
Did not get the first down. It's 2nd and 1. Ho-Ching net behind a line of scrimmage and bust out. Still up. Twist down to the 37. Todd Johnson brought him down, but you've got under a minute now, 52 seconds, and they move the chains.
See, and there's a kid that says, Coach, I let you down, but it's not going to happen again. He comes up with 2 big runs, breaks a tackle there, another one. There's 2. There's 3 tackles. Finally, they get him by the jersey and they take him down, but running with authority, tenacity. The guy moves the chains, and with 46 seconds left, that probably wraps it up, although we said that earlier.
Don't say that. It's not safe to say. And Washington burns a timeout with stuff away. See what's coming up. on ABC.
From the producer of Armageddon and The Rock, his first television event.
We're dead.
The last place a space shuttle crew would want to land is the only place it can. With a movie this spectacular, it must be November. Max Q Emergency Landing, Thursday, November 19th on ABC. If you can dream it.
Falling in love? It doesn't sound so terrible.
You can live it.
She's not human. She's a dolphin.
The all-new Fantasy Island. ABC tonight.
46 seconds left, and the Chevrolet most valuable players of the game. Rock Heward of Washington, Akili Smith. Huge numbers for Akili Smith. 442 yards, 3 touchdowns on the afternoon. A Chevrolet donation will be made to each school's general scholarship fund to reward outstanding students for their academic achievements and to assist those in financial need. It's been a Chevrolet tradition for more than a quarter of a century.
Very
37 and counting, and they can't stop it now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Very wisely, they take the knee, and the clock now can't be stopped. And the Ducks are about to go to 7-2. They knew coming in a loss here today by Oregon would have been devastating. They lose 3 out of 4 after that 5-0 start. So they played with a sense of urgency, and they really came up with the big plays when they had to have them. Huge win for the Ducks.
They needed it at home. They knew that. 9-1, Mike Bellotti in the month of November. This is a big one. 27-22 over their arch rival, the Washington Huskies. A critical one in the Pac-10 as they try to keep pace and go to a mid to high ball. Now, don't go anywhere. We're going to take you to New York and check in with John Saunders, who's going to take you to Michigan State and Ohio State. That's a great one going on. 27-22, the Ducks a winner. For Tim Brand, I'm Terry Gannon. So long.
All right, Terry, thanks a lot. What you said, hitting the nail on the head. Michigan State under 2 minutes to go, and they're about to upset number 1.
Night football, an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports.